Welcome to Airchecks. This week's Halloween theme will consist of 4 radio shows. The first that we're going to hear is Chet Chetters' Tales from the Morgue. The second will be from the Mercury Theater's Dracula, which was originally broadcasted on July 11, 1938, which was also the first episode. The third program will be War of the Worlds, which was broadcasted on October 30, 1938. Finally, a twist into a comedy to round up the program, which is called a half-hour radio show. Trust me, the comedy does relate to making fun of the War of the Worlds and aliens, so you will want to listen to the podcast to the very end.
And now M&J Audio Theater presents Chet Chetters' Tales from the Morgue.
Come right in, stranger. I wasn't expecting visitors today, but what a pleasant surprise. Do have a seat there, won't you? Let me get you a glass of lemonade. You seem a bit hot. There you are. It is to your liking? Oh. Good. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Chet Chetters. I am the morgue attendant here, and I sort of fancy myself a storyteller. I would like to tell you one if you have the time. Oh, you do? Well, good. Let's see now. Yes. My story for today is about a man from Biloxi who was on his way to pick up a load of manure. It was on a lonely, dark highway, and things seemed a bit unusual to this man. It was a routine manure pickup, but for some
You
reason...
take one down, you pass her around. 98 bottles up here in the wall, you 98 bottles. Oh, my God. What am I doing? Shut up, Elmer. You're singing to yourself. You're talking to yourself. I gotta stay awake. What did they do? Take Oklahoma off the map? Let's see what this thing says here. I took the Clarksville exit. I did that. I turned at the turnpike. I did everything the map says. Oh, come on now. What in the world is this? I ain't speeding. I can't believe this. He is gonna pull me over. I just can't believe it. What a night. All right, okay. This is definitely not I-35. Dadgum. Can I help you, officers?
Yes. Can I see your license and registration, please?
Oh, sure thing. There you go. That there's before I shaved my beard, and I live in Biloxi now.
Mr. Elmer Corn?
Yes, sir, just like it says on the card there. Say, I wasn't speeding, was I?
No, Mr. Corn. But we have been expecting you.
How's that?
Here's your license and registration.
Well, thank you.
You may carry on.
Okay.
We're sorry if we disturbed you.
Oh, no problem at all, officers. You have a good night now.
Thank you. And you have a good night also, Elmer Corn.
gosh. Them cops are skeletons.
Yes. Yes, you heard correctly. Skeletons. Mr. Corn gathered his thoughts, then began driving once again down the lonely, dark highway.
Skeletons. Skeletons, that's what they were. They were nothing but bleached white bones. Them cops were skeletons. I ain't going crazy. I know I ain't going crazy. I saw skeletons. There's only one thing I can't understand. How could they talk if they didn't have any voice boxes? Holy! Ah! Oh my God, I hit somebody. Listen, fella, I didn't see you stand out in the street like that. I didn't mean to hit you. I swear I didn't. Are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine. Could I have a ride, please?
Sure
sir?
thing.
I'm so weary of walking.
Sure thing, mister. Sure thing. You just step on over here and get in the truck now. I'm sorry. I really am sorry. You gotta admit, though, fella, you were pretty foolish walking down the middle of the street like that. Hell, you nearly gave me a heart attack.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that I upset you.
Well, that's all right. What was the matter? Did your car break down up the street or something?
No, my car burst into a ball of flame.
Well, hell, I can believe that. Your skin's all burned up. You're all black and blistered up. You want me to take you to the hospital, the burn ward or something?
No, that's quite all right. That's all right. Just take me to the Highway of Death Cafe, if you don't mind.
The Highway of Death Cafe, you say?
Yes. You look like a freshman. How did it end for you, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, what do you mean? How did it end?
Why, you're dead. Everyone in the Highway of Death has died in a car accident. How did you go?
Well, heck, feller, I didn't have no accident.
You must be the living one, then. The one from the living world who crossed into the outer plane.
Now look, feller, this conversation's just getting a little bit too strange for me. I'm gonna have to let you out right here, if you don't mind.
Oh, I suppose you do not believe that I'm dead.
Well, now, you got to admit it does sound a little far-fetched. I mean, you're sitting right there, and you're telling me that... What are you doing? You're grabbing your head and... Hey, what... Good Lord in heaven, fella, you're pulling your head off. Stop that, fella, stop that. Quit it. My gosh. You pulled your head off.
Yes. Now do you believe me? Now do you believe that I'm dead?
Yes, sir, I believe you. Now, put it back on your shoulders, please. You look like the devil.
I can't. I'm forever cursed to carry it in my hands now, no thanks to you.
Now, look, fella, I never told you to pull your head off. But I am going to tell you to get out of my truck, though. This is getting just a little bit too strange for me. I'm a patient man, but when you stop pulling your head off, that's when Elmer Corn says red light. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to have to ask you to get out. I'm sorry.
Oh, please, just a half a mile more and we'll be at the Highway of Death Cafe. That's where I want to go. You should come in with me. I have friends that want to meet you.
Okay.
They've been expecting you, Mr. Corn.
Now, you're the second person to tell me that today. The skeleton cop said that to me, and now you're telling me that they're expecting me. They're looking for me. What do you mean by that?
It will all be revealed in due time, Mr. Corn. I will go into the cafe and explain that you have arrived. They would be shocked to see a living one.
Actually, Mr. Corn should feel quite privileged. He is the only living one ever to enter the Highway of Death.
Oh. Boy, this here cafe ain't exactly the most energetic place I ever been in. Everybody seems to be a bit, well, let's see. What's the word I'm looking for here?
Dead, Mr. Corn.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
all dead.
Yeah, I forgot.
I explained it to you earlier.
Yes, sir.
Everyone here has died in a car accident.
I'm sorry. I forget these things. I'm kind of narrow-minded.
I would like you to meet the manager of the cafe, Mr. Smith.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the first ever to die in a car accident.
Oh, yeah?
One of the early horseless carriages brought him to his doom.
Gee, that's a pity.
He can tell you the story of this godforsaken place much better than I.
Well, okay. Is Mr. Smith the skeleton behind the bar over there?
Yes.
Well, all right. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Smith. Shake my hand.
Pleased to meet you.
Oh. Gee, sir, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pull it off.
Think nothing of it, Mr. Corn.
Oh.
Think nothing of it.
Okay.
I suppose you are wondering why you entered this strange place.
Yes, sir, I sure am. There certainly are a lot of strange things going on around here. I'm supposed to be on I-35. I've got a manure pickup in Oklahoma.
Well then, I will attempt to make this as quick as I can manage.
I'd appreciate it.
You see, Mr. Corn,
Yes, sir.
we here in this strange dimension
Uh-huh.
are victims of a demonic plan.
Well, I'm sorry to hear it. I'm sorry.
You see, a demon, Zelvius.
Zelvius?
Yes. He is a demon who has created this dimension that we are forced to reside in for eternity. The highway of death.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what this old moaning guy over here was telling me. The highway of death.
Yes, that is Jacob. You see, Mr. Corn, when someone dies, as we have, in a car accident,
Oh, yeah.
usually his soul travels to whatever fate awaits it.
Oh, you mean like heaven or hell?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes, Mr. Corn, sometimes the demon, Zelvius,
Zelvius?
one of Satan's greatest pupils,
Uh-huh.
sometimes he is quick enough to capture the physical body with the soul trapped within it.
Oh.
He pulls the body
Yeah.
into the highway.
The highway of death. I get it now. Yeah.
Here, our souls cannot leave our bodies.
Oh, so you're kind of like zombies, are you?
Yes. And we are forced to walk the highway for eternity.
Oh.
Our bodies decaying. The pain is unbearable.
Well, sir, I understand, and believe me, my heart bleeds for all of you, but just what has all this got to do with me?
Well, Mr. Corn, we here are much too weak to conquer Zelvius.
Oh, okay.
Only a man, only a living man can do battle with the demon. And you are that man, Mr. Corn.
Now, wait just a cotton-picking second, Mr. Smith. You said this feller was a demon. Well, he's liable to have magical powers. There's no telling what he could do. I mean, I'm just a manure hauler. I'm just Elmer Corn. What you see is what you get. I can't do no battle with no demon. I ain't got no powers or nothing.
Mr. Corn, you must defeat Zelvius.
But, sir,
Only then can our souls be set free from this prison. And only then can you return to the living world. For your sake and ours, you must defeat Zelvius. Otherwise, Mr. Corn, you will be trapped here as we are forever.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas. All right. Okay, Mr. Smith. I'll talk to this Zelvius guy. I'll see what I can do. I'll try to reason with him. I don't see how else I'm going to be able to do it if he's a demon like you say. But I'll try my best.
Excellent. Excellent. I knew you would not fail us, Mr. Corn. Jacob will show you the way to Zelvius's castle. Do be careful, Mr. Corn.
With some reluctance, Mr. Corn drove to the front gate of Zelvius's castle.
Well, this must be the place. Castle Zelvius, that sign there says. Well, that looks just like that castle in Dracula. Let's see what this sign in this unarmed gate here says. Warning! You are standing before the diamond-encrusted gate of Zelvius the All-Powerful. If you dare to venture past it, your soul will suffer an unmeasurable amount of pain. Well, he's got kind of a swollen head, don't he? I think I can clear that gate, sure. All right, Zelvius, here I come. Dang it. Ain't as spry as I used to be. All right, I gotta jump. Geronimo! Kind of skipped myself up there a little bit. Now let's see what else I got in front of me. Oh my gosh. Got a big glass door. Well, gonna have to break it. Now let's see if I can just find a rock or something. Rocks around here ain't very big. Oh wait, there's one. All right. Here goes the wind up and the pitch. Woo! Dead gum. Boy, that rock turned that door to powder.
What in the name of Satan's domain is going on here?
Uh-oh, that must be Zelvius. And he's got a thorn in his side.
Who has dared to destroy my sacred crystal door?
Well, sir, the thing is,
Intruder?
Yes, sir?
You are standing before Zelvius, the all-powerful.
I understand that.
Identify yourself at once.
Well, sir, I'm Elmer Corn, Mr. Zelvius. I'm a manure hauler from Biloxi.
Biloxi? Well, you're in Zelvius's castle now, you hick. Whatever possessed you to disregard the warning on the front gate? Are you mentally ill, or maybe you enjoy slow torture?
Neither one, Mr. Zelvius. And hell, I don't know how I wound up in this crazy place. But I've been talking to these people here, these corpses, and they've been telling me that you've been keeping their souls from going over into the hereafter. And in my book, that makes you a bully. And I don't like a bully. And you're also keeping me from a load of manure that ain't getting any fresher in Oklahoma. Now, the way I see it, we can go about this two ways. You can either politely set these people free, set me back on my road, or, well, I guess you and I are going to have us a little confrontation.
Oh, I believe I'm beginning to get the picture now. You must be the living one these miserable corpses have been babbling about. They know they can't touch me. I'd snap their souls like twigs. They know only a man from the living world can do battle with Zelvius. And here he is, Mr. Elmer Corn, the Savior.
I take it from your reaction you're not very impressed.
Not the least little bit, Mr. Corn. If you were to try to do battle with me, it would be a serious error in judgment.
Well, now, wait a minute. I don't know about that.
back when I was in middle school, I won second place in the state championship wrestling matches. And I don't know, I'm pretty good at scuffling.
Impressive. Oh, I'm impressed. But it's not quite as impressive as my sacred wand of Ramata.
Oh, dang, I was afraid of something like that.
This wand was a gift to me from the devil himself.
Well,
With it, I can create creatures that would turn your soul to
well,
stone.
I'm not going to give you any reason to use
Let
that.
me demonstrate.
Well, that's not necessary.
Mr. Corn, meet my friend Trihidion, the three-headed serpent.
Dang. Now, wait just a cotton-picking second, Zelbius. This ain't fair at all. We're not evenly matched. Give me that stick. Here, got you a pair of chopsticks.
You destroyed my wand!
That's right, I sure did.
My sacred wand of Ramata!
That's right. Well, hey, what was I supposed to do? Defeat that monster with my good looks? At least this way we're evenly matched. Now you got 3 seconds to set us free, the zombies and me, or I'm gonna tear into you like a cat after a bag of catnip.
Wait! Surely you do not wish to stoop to primitive fist fighting? Let us do battle the noble way, the way men have been dueling for centuries.
Well, okay, I'm game. What'd you have in mind?
Swords! A duel to the death!
Oh, swords it is. Well, let's see. I did see Cyrano de Bergerac 100 times. Okay, let's sword fight.
Excellent! I just happen to have a pair of swords on the wall over here.
Oh, yeah?
I'll just go get them.
Oh, now wait a second. I'll go get the swords. I know what you're up to, and I don't trust you any further than I can throw you. Let's see. Oh, these are nice swords. Boy, these are pretty. All right, Mr. Zelbius, here's your sword. I got mine. Whenever you're ready, you say the word.
You fool! You have dug your grave, mortal.
Oh,
I
yeah?
was trained by Lucifer himself.
Big deal.
On guard!
I ain't no slack either, Zelbius. I got a few tricks up my sleeve, and I might just bring you down a notch or two.
Prepare to die, mortal. You will make a nice addition to my highway of rotting corpses.
Oh, that'll be the day, pal. That'll be the day. You don't worry none about me. You just... Dang it. You cut me.
That's a point in my favor, Mr. Corn. Next time I'll cut much, much deeper.
Oh, there ain't gonna be no next time, Zelbius. There ain't gonna be no next time. I'm gonna send you back to hell, boy.
My sword!
You're unarmed now, Zelbius, and I'm gonna slit your throat from ear to ear unless you do what I tell you. I want you to tell them zombies that you're sorry you created the highway of death. Then I want you to destroy the highway of death. Set them people free and set me free. Or die. That's your choice.
Never! Never! I am Zelbius. I rule the highway of death. I would rather die than apologize.
All right then, demon. You got your wish. Sorry.
I can't believe it. I've been stabbed by a manure hauler.
Ain't no shame in it. It's honest work. Oh my gosh. What in the world? He's turning into a whirlwind of light. Oh my gosh. What have I done?
Elmer Cohen, what have you done?
I'm in my truck. Hey, it's daylight. There goes a car. There ain't no skeleton in that car. I'm back. Oh, thank the Lord, I'm back. I guess I must have did it. I sure hope you guys are wherever you're supposed to be. I hope y'all made it to the afterlife. Oh, yeah, let's check my clock. Hey, I got 2 whole hours to make it to Oklahoma, and I'm almost there. I tell you something. Only old Bessie will just crank up. Yeah, purring like a kitten. I'm walking the floor over you. Like sweep a wink at it.
The demon Zelvius is dead. The highway of death is no more. The souls once imprisoned there are now in their proper place. Some are in heaven, some in hell, but all are grateful to their savior, Helma Korn. Well, now, that was a pleasant little story, don't you think? Yes. One bit of advice. If you ever find yourself on a dark and desolate road, it's probably best to keep driving and hope things will get better. Oh, my. Look at the time. I would love to tell another story, but a fresh cadaver is arriving in a few moments, and I would hate to miss the autopsy. I have simple pleasures, but I enjoy them. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
You have just heard Chet Chetters, Tales from the Morgue. Today's installment, The Highway of Death. The names and characters portrayed in this production are fictitious. Any similarities with actual persons, including zombies and demons, is purely coincidental. A production by M&J Audio Theater.
For correspondence, send to M&J Audio Theater, 923 East Main, Mexia, Texas. Mexia is spelled M-E-X-I-A. The zip, 76667.
The Columbia Network takes pride in presenting Orson Welles in the first production of a unique new summer series by the Mercury Theater on the Air. In a single year, the first in the life of the Mercury Theater, Orson Welles has come to be the most famous name of our time in American drama. Says Collier's Magazine,
23-year-old Orson Welles threw a bombshell into Broadway.
Robert Benchley writes in the New Yorker,
The production of the Mercury is, I should say, just about perfect.
Time Magazine declares,
The brightest moon that has risen over Broadway in years. Welles should feel at home in the sky, for the sky is the only limit which his ambitions recognize.
And finally, the United Press remarked,
Meteoric rise of Orson Welles' Mercury Theater continues unabated.
with 4 hit shows in its first year, the Mercury might well close its door on a season unparalleled in Broadway history. But Mr. Wells has long been working on a project for a greater audience, the Broadways of the entire United States. The Columbia Network is proud to give Orson Welles the opportunity to bring to the air those same qualities of vitality and imagination that have made him the most talked-of theatrical director in America today. And it is this project which Columbia brings you this summer. The first time in its history that radio has ever extended such an invitation to an entire theatrical institution. But here is Orson Welles himself to tell you about it. The director of the Mercury Theater, the star and producer of these programs, Orson Welles.
Good evening. We're starting off tonight with the best story of its kind ever written. You will find it in every representative library of classic English narratives. It is Bram Stoker's Dracula. The next time I speak to you, I am Dr. Arthur Seward. George Goulouris plays Jonathan Harker, and Martin Gable plays Dr. Van Helsing. It is Dr. Seward who tells the story, and so for the moment, goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you in Transylvania.
The Mercury Theater on the Air presents Orson Welles as Count Dracula in his own version of Bram Stoker's great novel, Dracula.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Arthur Seward. I'm here tonight to bear witness to the truth of certain events which you may find it hard to believe, but I ask you to believe them. I have here certain documents, telegrams, clippings from the press of the day, memoranda, and letters in various hands. All needless matters have been eliminated, so that a history almost at variance with the possibilities of contemporary belief may stand forth as simple fact. I present you first with excerpts from the private journal of Jonathan Harker.
I, Jonathan Harker, lawyer's clerk, article to Peter Hawkins, Esquire of Exeter, England, am writing this journal in the hope that if misfortune overtakes me, it may one day come to the eyes of those who love me. I set out from London on the last day of April to visit one of our clients in Eastern Europe. On May the 3rd, I arrived in Budapest and came after nightfall to Klausenburg on the borders of Transylvania. At Bistritz, there was a letter of welcome for me from our client, informing me that his carriage would await me at the Borgo Pass. It was signed Dracula. There seemed to be some excitement among the passengers. They kept speaking to the driver and looking at me and urging him on to greater speed. The crazy coach rocked on its great leather strings. The mountains seemed to come nearer to us on either side. Coachman! Coachman! What is it? Where are we?
You're nearing your destination, young hare. This is the Borgo Pass.
Clouds overhead, and in the air the heavy, oppressive sense of thunder. Now we were through the pass.
The young hare is not expected after all.
You are early tonight, my friend.
A caleche with 4 horses are drawn up beside us.
Let me help you, sir.
The coachman smiled, and the lamplight fell on a hard-looking mouth with very red lips and sharp-looking teeth as white as ivory. We began to move. I looked back. The coach and its load of passengers had vanished from sight. We swept into the darkness of the pass. I struck a match. It was within a few minutes of midnight. And then a dog began to howl somewhere far down the road. The wind was rising. It moaned and whistled through the rocks, and the branches of the trees clashed together as we swept along. It grew colder and colder still, and fine powdery snow began to fall. The baying of wolves sounded nearer and nearer, as though they were closing round us from every side. We kept on ascending, always ascending. The howling of wolves was growing less. Presently, it ceased altogether. And just then, the moon broke through the black clouds. I saw around us a ring of wolves running alongside the carriage. In silence, with white teeth and lolling red tongues, with long sinewy limbs and shaggy hair.
Welcome to my house.
I must have fallen asleep. The carriage had pulled up in the courtyard of a vast ruined castle. The coachman was nowhere to be seen.
Welcome to my house. Come freely, go safely, and leave something of the happiness you bring.
Count Dracula?
I am Dracula.
His face was strong, very strong, aquiline. The mouth, so far as I could see under the heavy mustache, was fixed and rather cruel looking, with peculiarly sharp white teeth.
You hear them, Mr. Harker?
The wolves?
The children of the night, as you say, Mr. Harker. The wolves. Listen. Come now. There are many things you must tell me tomorrow. Of England and of the estate there you have purchased for me.
Yes.
The estate is called Carfax, I believe.
Yes, that is so.
But now I will detain you no longer. You will find your room in readiness. And I advise you not to leave it during the night.
This castle is on the very edge of a terrible precipice. A stone falling from the window would fall 1,000 feet without touching anything. I explored. There are doors everywhere, and all of them locked. The door to the great hall, the door to the courtyard, every door in the castle is closed, bolted against me. The castle of Dracula is a prison, and I am a prisoner. The next night, I couldn't sleep. So after a few hours, I got up and, lighting my candle, I placed my shaving mirror on the dressing table and was just beginning to shave.
You seem restless, Mr. Harker.
I hadn't seen him, although the reflection of the glass covered the whole room behind me. I turned to the glass again. I could see him over my shoulder, but there was no reflection of him in the mirror. It was blank. I started and cut myself on the side of the throat. The blood was trickling down my neck. Count, my mirror!
The blood! The blood! Wipe the blood from your face, Mr. Harker. And take care how you cut yourself. It is more dangerous than you think in this country.
When I woke, I found most of my things were gone. My passport, my notes, my letter of credit. I could find no trace of them anywhere. And my door is locked from the outside. June 20th. There is work of some kind going on in the castle. Now and then I hear the faraway muffled sound of mattock and spade. And last night, the second of the predated letters which Dracula made me write, the second of that series which is to blot out the very traces of my existence from the earth, went forth. Count Dracula.
Yes, my young friend.
Well, what of me? When am I free? When can I leave this place?
Free? Mr. Harker, you're always free. You want to leave? Would you like to leave tonight?
Yes, in God's name.
My dear young friend, not an hour shall you wait in my house against your will. Come, follow me. The door seems to be bolted. How strange. The door is locked.
Well, in God's name, open it.
As you will, Mr. Harker. You English have a proverb which is very close to my heart. Welcome the coming, speed the parting guest. Good night, Mr. Harker.
Shut the door! Shut the door! I tell you, shut the door! Shut!
The door is shut, Mr. Harker. I take it you will remain Amen.
Morning, June the 30th. These may be the last words I ever write in this diary. Oh, God preserve my sanity. I have never seen Count Dracula by day. At sunrise, at the first cockcrow, he is gone. I do not understand these things. I only know that the wolves obey him, and that he is a man with hair on the palm of his hands, with sharp teeth, and no blood in his face. He casts no shadow. He cannot be seen in a glass. And he moves like a bat across the sheer face of the castle walls. He eats no food and is mortally afraid of the crucifix. As I write this, I hear in the courtyard the rolling of heavy wheels and the cracking of whips. And there is in the passageway below a sound of heavy boxes being set down. Boxes shaped like coffins. And I know what they hold. The boxes are filled with holy earth from the chapel beneath the castle. It is the last box being nailed down. And now I hear the heavy feet tramping again. The door shut. The chains rattle. In the courtyard and down the rocky way, the roll of heavy wheels, the crack of whips. Help! 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 The wagons have gone. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone in the castle. I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Seward. Mr. Harker's journal terminates at this point. I now present in evidence a clipping dated August 8th of that year from the Yorkshire Telegraph from our correspondent in Whitby. One of the greatest and suddenest storms on record was experienced here today. The weather has been somewhat sultry, but Saturday evening was fine. The band was playing. The piers were crowded with holidaymakers. The wind fell away entirely during the evening, and there was a dead calm. There were but few lights at sea. The only sail noticeable was a foreign schooner under full canvas, which was seemingly going westward. A little after midnight came a strange sound from over the sea, and high overhead the air began to carry a strange, faint, hollow booming. Then, without warning, the tempest broke. And there, with all sails set, was the foreign schooner rushing with terrific speed toward the shore. A searchlight was turned on her. And there, lashed to the helm, was a corpse with drooping head which swayed horribly to and fro at each motion of the ship. A moment later, she crashed. And then a strange thing was seen. At the very instant she touched, a huge dog sprang up on deck from below and, running forward, jumped from the bow onto the sand and, making straight up the east cliff toward the graveyard, vanished into the night. The Coast Guard, going aboard at dawn, found the dead man fastened to a spoke of the wheel. Tightly clutched in one hand was a crucifix. The man must have been dead for quite 2 days. In the pocket of the dead man's coat was found a bottle, carefully corked, containing a roll of paper. This proved to be an addendum to the ship's log. There was found on board only a small amount of cargo, and that of a most unusual nature. Apparently the ship carried nothing but earth. Common earth, packed away in wooden boxes, shaped much like coffins.
Of the Demeter, July 6th. Finished taking in cargo, a queer cargo, boxes of earth. At noon, set sail, east wind, fresh. Crew, 4 hands, 2 mates, cook, and myself, captain, July 11th. Entered Bosporus. At dark, passed through Dardanelles. Mate reported in morning that one of crew, Valjoden, was missing.
Took larboard watch 8 bells last night. He was relieved by Chelit. Never came to his bunk.
There's something aboard this ship.
No. Don't laugh, Captain. In the rain last night.
Oh?
A tall, thin man go up companionway and along the deck forward and disappeared. When I go to the bow, no one. And the hatchways all closed.
July 22nd. Rough weather last 3 days. All hands busy with sails. No time be frightened. Past Gibraltar and out through straits. All well. July 24th. Last night, another hand was lost. Disappeared.
Like Chelichev. Leave all watch, midnight. Then we never see him again. What, double watch now? I don't take watch alone no more. Double watch. Double watch.
July 29th. Had single watch tonight as crew too tired to double. When morning come...
Hey! Hey, Milo! Banoitin! Banoitin! Is Banoitin below? Banoitin's gone! Banoitin's gone like the others. Like all the others.
The mate and I have agreed to go armed henceforth, July 30th. Last night, we are nearing England. Weather fine. All sails set.
Captain! Captain! The man in the watch in the stairs was missing! Both missing!
Now, only self and mate and one hand left to work ship. August 3rd. 2 days of fog and not a sail sighted. At midnight, I went to relieve the man at wheel, and when I got to it, found no one there.
It's here. I know it now. I saw it. Like a man, tall and thin and ghastly pale. It was in the bows looking out. I gave it the knife, and my knife went through it.
What?
Empty as air.
What is it? What are you talking about?
It's here, and I'll find it. It's in the hold. In one of those boxes of earth. I'll unscrew them one by one and see. And see.
He is mad. Stark raving mad. It's no use my trying to stop him. He can't hurt those big boxes. They are invoiced as common earth.
I know the secret now. The sea will save me from him. That's all that's left. That's all that's left.
August 4th. I am all alone on my ship. And still the fog. I dared not go below. I dared not leave the helm. So here all night I stayed. And in the dimness of the night, I saw it. I saw him. God forgive me, but the mate was right to jump overboard. It was better to die like a sailor in the blue water. But I am captain, and I must not leave my ship. I shall tie my hands to the wheel when my strength begins to fail. And along with them I shall tie that which it dare not touch, my crucifix. I am growing weaker, and the night is coming on. God and the Blessed Virgin help a poor ignorant soul trying to do his duty.
Telegram, Seaward, Perfect, to Van Helsing, Amsterdam. Lucy Westenra in alarming condition. Cannot diagnose. Come at once. Seward.
Telegram, Van Helsing, Amsterdam, to Stuart, Perfect. I'm on my way to you. Please arrange the examination immediately my arrival, Van Helsing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I must now explain that 6 months before the events recorded here, I had become engaged to a young lady, Lucy Westenra. We were to have been married in the spring. My old teacher, Professor Van Helsing, arrived at 4 the next afternoon. I took him at once to Lucy's house. She lay in a bed asleep. She was ghastly, chalkily pale. The red seemed to have gone even from her lips and gums, and the bones of her face stood out.
Young Miss is bad. Very bad. She must have blood or she will die. Yet she is not anemic. The qualitative analysis of her blood gives quite normal condition. It is strange. I do not like to think how strange. Look! My God, her throat, look!
The black velvet band that she always wore had dragged up a little and showed a red mark on her throat. Just over the external jugular vein were 2 punctures, not large, but not wholesome looking. The edges were white and worn looking. Well? Well, what is it, Professor? What's wrong with her? Speak frankly. You can tell me the worst.
I wish I could, Stuart. I wish I could. But I do not dare.
But won't you tell me anything?
I will tell you this. Your young lady is in a danger greater than death. You must believe me. If you leave her for one moment and harm befalls, you will not sleep easy thereafter.
September 8th. I sat up all night with Lucy.
Arthur, I'm afraid.
Night, dear. You can sleep tonight. I'm here watching you. Nothing can happen. And I promise if any sign of bad dreams, if I see anything, I'll wake you at once.
Will you really? Then I'll sleep.
I sat all night by her bedside. She did not wake once during the night, although her brows or a bat or something flapped almost angrily against the window panes. September 11th. Still quoting from my private journals. At this time that I received a message from Purfleet. Read 10:20 p.m. St. John's Hospital, serious complications, case 891, your immediate presence, London, imperative. I had no choice. Sometime later, a paper was found among Lucy Westenra's belongings.
I write this and leave it to be seen so that no one may by any chance get into trouble through me. I went to bed as usual, taking care that the window was closed, as Dr. Van Helsing had directed. About 2 in the morning, I awakened. I went to the door, called out, "Arthur! Arthur!" There was no answer. Something's broken the window. I'm in the room, alone. I dare not go out. The house seems empty. The air is full of specks, floating, circling in the draught from the window. The light burns blue, dim. What am I to do? Something very sweet and very bitter all around me. And I seem sinking into deep water.
You shall be flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood.
September 12th. Late. Only resolution and habit can let me make an entry tonight. We found her sprawled on the floor, and there was a draft in the room from the broken window. Her throat was bare, showing the 2 wounds, looking horribly white and mangled.
We are too late, my friend. We have failed. God's will be done.
She's dying.
Yes. She's dying. Stay beside her. It will make much difference, mark me, whether she dies conscious or in her sleep.
It was late in the afternoon before she opened her eyes.
Arthur, oh, my love, I'm so glad you've come.
I took her hand and knelt beside her. Her breath came and went like a tired, peaceful child's. And then the light from the setting sun fell on her face, and then, insensibly, a strange change came over her. Her eyes grew suddenly dull and hard. Her breathing was heavy, the mouth opened, and the pale gums drawn back Made the teeth look large and sharp.
Arthur, oh, my love, I'm so glad you've come. Kiss me. Bend down and kiss me.
Not for your life. Not for your living soul and hers. Lucy! She's dead. Poor girl. There's peace for her at last. The end. Not so. It is only the beginning. Wait and see.
The Westminster Gazette, September 25th. A Hempstead mystery. The Kensington Horror, the stabbing woman, and the woman in black are vividly recalled to mind by a series of events that have taken place recently in the neighborhood of Hempstead. Several cases have occurred of young children straying from home or failing to return from their playing on the heath. In all these cases, the children have given as their excuse that they have been with a beautiful lady who offered them chocolates. In each case, the child was found to be slightly torn or wounded in the throat. The wound seemed such as might be made by a rat or a small dog.
The Hempstead Horror. Another child injured by the beautiful lady. We have just received intelligence that another child missed last night was only discovered late in the morning. It has the same tiny wound in the throat. Well, Stuart, what do you think of that? You mean to tell me, my friend, that you still have no suspicion as to what poor Lucy died of? Nervous prostration, following great loss and waste of blood. And how was the blood lost or wasted? You are a clever man, my friend, and a good doctor. But you do not believe that there are things that you cannot understand. You are wrong, Stuart. Are you aware of all the mysteries of life and death? Can you tell me why in the pampas there are bats that come at night and open the veins of cattle and horses and suck dry those veins? How in some islands of the western seas there are bats which hang on trees all day, and then when the sailors sleep on deck because it is hot, flit down on them, and then in the morning are found dead men, as white as Miss Lucy was? I understand none of these things. After tonight, Stuart, if you dare to come with me, perhaps then you will understand. September 29th. Before dawn. Now it is done. And I would sooner die 1,000 deaths than live again through what I did this night. We will spend the night, you and I, here in this churchyard where Miss Lucy is buried. We enter the tomb, then we open the coffin. You shall yet be convinced. Take care, Van Helsing. Miss Lucy is dead, is it not so? Then there can be no wrong to her, but if she's not dead... With some difficulty, we found the Westenra tomb. I took up my place behind a yew tree. On one side of the tomb, Van Helsing on the other. I was chilled and frightened. Suddenly, I saw something moving between two yew trees. A dim, white figure which held something at its breast. The figure stopped. I could not see the face, for it was bent down over what I saw to be a fair-haired child. There was a sharp little cry, such as a child gives in sleep, or a dog as it lies before the fire and dreams. Then the thing saw us. She drew back with an angry snarl. The lovely blood-stained mouth grew to an open square. If ever a face meant death, I saw it at that moment. Then suddenly she turned and vanished in the direction of the tomb. The child is not harmed. We leave him in a safe place where the police find him. There's more to do. Come. Now we were in the tomb. Then in the coffin, the thing lay. Like a nightmare of Lucy, the pointed teeth, the blood-stained mouth. Van Helsing never looked up. From his bag, he took out a book, his operating knives, A heavy hammer and a round wooden stake, some 2 or 3 inches thick, sharpened to a fine point, and hardened over a fire.
Stewart! The life of this unhappy woman is just begun. Then she become what you call undead. There comes with the change the curse of immortality. She cannot die, but must go on age after age, adding new victims. Because all that die from the preying of the undead become themselves undead and prey on others. So the circle goes on, ever widening as the ripples from a stone thrown in the water. But if this lady, this undead, be made to rest as true dead, then the soul of the poor lady whom we love shall be again free.
Tell me, what am I to do?
Take this stake in your left hand, the hammer in your right.
Yes.
Place the point over the heart.
Yes.
Then, when I begin the prayer for the dead, in God's name strike. Are you ready? Now, Domine Jesu Christe, Fili de vivi, qui manus tuas ex voluntate Patri.
On the morning of July 11th, a man was found on the border of Transylvania. He talked wildly of wolves and boxes of earth and blood, and gave his name as Jonathan Harker. In the hospital at Klausenberg, he improved sufficiently to make possible his removal to England. I'm still quoting from my own personal papers. But there his condition remained so serious that he was committed for observation to a private ward in my hospital at Purfleet. Here he did so well that in 3 weeks he was completely recovered. It was during this time that his wife, Minna Harker, brought to the attention of Dr. Van Helsing and myself the journal that her husband had kept while a prisoner in the castle of a certain Count Dracula in Transylvania. I have before me the record of a meeting that took place in my study in Purfleet, transcribed by Minna Harker.
October 1st. Meeting began soon after 8. Jonathan next to me. Dr. Seward opposite to Van Helsing at the head of the table.
My friends, there are such things as vampires. Had I known at first what now I know, one so precious life had been spared to many of us who love her. The vampire which is amongst us is of himself so strong that he can direct all the elements. The storm, the fog, the thunder. He can command all the meaner things, the moth and bat, the owl and the fox and the wolf. How then are we to begin our strike to destroy him? How shall we find his place? And having found it, how can we destroy? My friends, it is a terrible task that we undertake. To fail here is not mere life or death. If we fail, we become as him. Foul things of the night, as him. What do you say?
I answer for myself.
Come in. I'm with you.
The professor laid a small golden crucifix on the table. We took hands, and our solemn pact was made.
My friends, we too are not without strength. The vampire flourishes on the blood of the living. Without this, he cannot live. He throws no shadow. He makes no reflection in a mirror. He can transform himself to a wolf, to a bat. He can come on moonlight rays as elemental dust. He can see in the dark. He can do all these things. Yet he is not free. His power ceases at the coming of the day. Then, until night, he must remain in the shape in which he finds himself, and except in his coffin home, in those earth boxes, he cannot rest. When we can confine him in his coffin, then, my friends, if we obey what we know, we will destroy him.
At that moment, something flapped wildly against the window. Then...
Did you hit it?
I don't know.
We looked out of the window. Against the black sky, we could see nothing.
Data in our possession. From the Count's castle in Transylvania to Whitby came 50 boxes of earth. All of these, to our certain knowledge, were delivered at Carfax. Recently, 12 of these boxes have been removed. First step, ascertain whether all the rest remain in the deserted house next door or whether any more have been removed. We must trace each of these boxes and sterilize the earth with holy water so that he can no longer seek safety in it. And we must hurry.
The events of the next few days are described in Jonathan Harker's journal.
October 2nd, 5 a.m. Just returned from the empty house. Left Mina here at home. Well, we've done our work at Carfax. The place was filthy. The air stagnant and foul and alive with rats. We counted the boxes. Only 38 of them. And over each one, the professor went through his same mysterious work. It was dawn when we got back. I found Mina asleep. She looks paler than usual.
October 2nd. Soon after they left, I fell asleep. I remember hearing the sudden barking of the dogs. And then there was silence. I got up and looked out of the window. There was a thin streak of white mist moving across the grass along the wall of the house. It dawned on me that the air in the room was heavy and dank and cold. The gaslight came only like a tiny red spark through the fog. I could see through my eyelids. The mist grew thicker and thicker. Then, as I looked, the spark divided and seemed to shine on me through the fog like two red eyes.
You shall be flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, blood of my blood.
October 2nd, 8 p.m. We're on the track. 12 boxes were delivered last week to an empty house at 347 Piccadilly. My dear friends, until the sun sets tonight, Dracula must retain whatever form he now has. We have this day to hunt out all his lairs and sterilize them. Then he will have no place where he can move and hide. But we have only until sunset.
The house in Piccadilly was empty. Like the one at Purfleet, the same sickening smell was in the air. On a table we found a clothes brush, a brush, and a comb, and a basin. The latter containing dirty water, which was reddened as if with blood.
The boxes are back here. 8, 9, 10, 11. Only 11. There's a 12th box somewhere. Gentlemen, it is after 6. The sun is setting. We've no time to lose. He will return at any moment. Open the boxes. Quiet. Listen. Be ready. It is he! The window!
You waste your bullets, gentlemen. You think you baffle me? You with your pale faces all in a row like sheep in a butcher's. You think you've left me without a place to rest. But I have more. And time is on my side. The one you love is mine already. I have known her. Already my mark is on her throat. Flesh of my flesh. Blood of my blood. She is with me always. Over land. Over sea.
We must find that last remaining box, gentlemen. We must find it. As long as that earth exists impure, as long as there remains one place of refuge for Dracula, there is no safety and no peace for any soul in England.
And for the undead, never peace so long as he lives. Blood of my blood. Blood of my blood.
Mina! How do you know that? Quiet.
With me always. Over land and sea.
Mina, darling, how did you know that Dracula said those...
I don't know. The words just came. Strange. There are times when somehow I feel that I'm with him.
At sunset?
Yes. Just at sunset. And again at sunrise. Dr. Van Helsing, if I could, if at that time you...
Have you the courage?
Courage for what? What do you mean?
Dr. Van Helsing here will question me.
I will question her, yes. In a state of hypnosis. The one you love is already mine, he said. She is with me always, over land or sea. Ah, Count Dracula. Perhaps she will betray you if she is really with you, this one we love. Who knows? If she is really with you over land or sea.
Blood of my blood.
Mina.
Yes?
Answer me, Mina. Are you with him?
Yes, I am with him.
Where are you?
I do not know. It is all dark.
What do you hear?
The lapping of water. I can hear it on the outside.
Then you are on a ship?
Yes.
What else do you hear?
There is the creaking of an anchor chain.
What are you doing?
Still. Oh, so still. It is like death. It's like death.
Here's a report from Matson Peabody, shipbrokers. Dated October 5th, according to Lloyd's list, the only sailing ship that left for the Black Sea yesterday was the Tsarina Katrina, bound for Varna. Some hours before she sailed, a man came alongside, all in black, driving a cart with a great box in it. This he lifted down single-handed and carried below. No one remembers having seen him after that, as heavy mist came up over Doolittle Dock until sailing time. The rest of London Harbor remained completely clear.
Our plans are made. The average sailing time from London to the Black Sea is 3 weeks. We can travel overland to the same place in 3 days. We shall be there waiting for him when he arrives.
October 15th, arrived Varna about 5 o'clock. Mina seems stronger. Every morning before sunrise and just before sunset, she speaks to Van Helsing in a trance.
Are you with him, Mina? Tell me, are you with him?
I am with him.
What can you see?
Nothing. All is dark.
What can you hear?
I can hear the waves lapping against the ship and the water rushing by. The wind is high. I can hear it in the shrouds and the bow throws back the foam.
So, the Tsarina Katrina is still at sea, hastening on her way to Varna. The Count cannot cross running water, so he cannot leave the ship without being observed.
What do you hear, Mina?
Lapping waves and rushing water. Darkness. Darkness and wind.
A whole week of waiting. Daily telegrams from Lloyd's.
Not yet reported. Not yet reported.
Rushing water and creaking masts. Darkness. Darkness and wind.
October 24th. Telegram. Lloyd's, London to Harker. Tsarina Katrina reported this morning. From Dardanelles. Lloyd's, London to Harker, October 28th.
Tsarina Katrina in heavy fog reported entering Galatz Harbor at 1 o'clock today.
Galatz is 38 hours from here, and the first train for Galatz leaves at 6:30 tomorrow morning. My friends, we have lost.
Evening. We are due between 2 and 3 in the morning, but already at Bucharest we are 3 hours late.
Something is going on. I can feel it passing like a cold wind. I can hear far off confused sounds. Men talking in strange tongues. Tears falling water in the howling of waves.
Captain Zarina Katrina.
A man come aboard with an order an hour before sunup to receive a box for a party by the name of Dracula. Not his peppers, I read. Emmanuel Hiddlesheim, his name was.
Mr. Hiddlesheim?
Yes.
You went out of the box yesterday.
I gave to Kyloff by order. Kyloff.
Mr. Kyloff?
I know. This morning they find him dead inside the churchyard of St. Peter. They find him dead with his throat torn open.
October 30th evening, there are two ways in which Dracula can get back to his own place. By land or by water.
We've examined the map and find the most likely river is the Chetters.
You and I, Seaward, will charter a steam launch and follow him up the river. Van Helsing and Mina will take the train to Veresti, and from there they will
From there we shall go in the track where Harker went, from District over to Borgo. If you have not caught him before, we shall be awaiting Dracula there.
October 31st. We arrived at Veresti at noon, Van Helsing and I. Bought a carriage here, and we start in an hour. Our enemy is still on the river.
October 31st. We can run a good speed up the river at night. There's plenty of water, and the banks are wide apart.
November 1st, evening. No news all day. We hear that a big boat went up the river before us, going at more than usual speed.
November 4th. All day driving. The country gets wilder as we go. By morning, we shall reach the Borgo Pass.
November the 4th, evening. We've left the launch. We've got horses, and we follow on the track along the river. We are armed.
Look! Quick! There they are now! Heading west!
With the dawn, we could see the Slovaks some miles before us, dashing along the river with their wagons. On it is the great box.
Late in the afternoon, we reached the Borgo Pass.
Van Helsing! Look! Look!
We could see a long ray all around us. Far off, beyond the white waste of snow, was the river like a black ribbon curling. Between us and the river, not afar off, came a group of men, mounted Slovaks hurrying along. In the midst of them was a wagon which swept from side to side. On the wagon was a great box.
Look!
We see two horsemen following fast, coming up from the south. Now the horsemen are not more than a mile behind. Now the wagon is quite close to us. We can see the great box swaying crazily. Now they are almost upon us. Now has happened a strange thing. The wagon smashed into a great rock bed in the snow, lost its front wheels, and turned over on its side, jammed against the stone. The horses tore loose from their traces and bolted, and the Slovaks scatter and vanish after them. Then silence. Silence like comes after ringing a bell.
Look! His face!
It is Dracula. Sprawled out stiff and twisted in the smear of his own holy earth. The box, in falling, has emptied the dirt onto the snow. His face is old-looking. The skin is like paper. Dr. Seward, there's no time. Look at the sun.
Sunset.
In 1 minute there is darkness and he is forever lost to us. Have you the stake of wood and the hammer?
Here.
Now, Seward, pray for us. Kneel down and pray. Harker, the stake of wood over his heart. Be not afraid, Harker. Do not look into his eyes. The hammer. Now, Harker, strike. Strike!
Flesh of my flesh. Guilt of my guilt. Death of my death. Speak and be manifest in the instant of your master's peril. Elements of darkness, rain, evil winds, mist, and mold, and tempest.
Strike!
The others couldn't. But somehow I can hear him speaking behind his eyes.
Claw, wing, tooth, scale, tissue of flesh, death of my death, dead and undead. The hand of the living is over your master. Console him, my children. This instant is no longer than the space between two heartbeats. But the night is not here, and I am lonely. Come to your master, my children. Beguile him now in the instant of his peril. Beguile him with the sound of your names. Claw, wing, tooth, scale, tissue of flesh.
Strike, Harker, strike!
There is one very dear to me who has not answered. My love, Mina. There is less than a minute between me and the night. You must speak for me. You must speak with my heart.
Give them to me! Jonathan, give them to me! That stake of wood and the hammer!
Harker!
I shall never forget that moment. The look on poor Mina's face as she stood there, the angry scar standing out on her throat, her eyes like living coals in the last red of the sunset. She had torn the stake and the hammer out of my hands with the strength of an animal.
Mina, do you know what you've done, woman? You know what you've done to us? You've released him. The evil is free. Look!
The sun! As we looked down at Dracula, the eyes saw the sinking sun, and the hate in them turned to triumph.
Flesh of my flesh, come to me, my love. Come into the night and the darkness. You have served me well, my love. My bride,
Ladies and gentlemen, all the evidence in this case is now before you. I've added nothing. And to the best of my knowledge, I've omitted nothing that might help to throw light on the extraordinary events of the year 1891, which culminated on that terrible evening in the Morgue. There remains only this one last report.
When Mina Harker seized the stake and hammer from her husband, I believe she was under some form of hypnosis. She herself remembers nothing. But whatever influence was at work on her, she must, at the last moment, have rejected it. For at the exact instant the sun disappeared, it was Mina Harker who drove the stake through the heart of the thing that called itself Dracula. At that same instant, even as we looked, the wound on the side of her throat was no more. As for Dracula, before the scream of the creature had died from our ears, the whole body crumbled into dust and passed from our sight. In the final moment of dissolution, there was in the face a look of peace, such as I never could have imagined might have rested there.
Tonight's production of Dracula by Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater was the first of 9 CBS broadcasts in which this brilliant group will bring to life a series of great narratives. In the cast tonight, Dr. Van Helsing was played by Martin Gable, Jonathan Harker by George Coulouris, Dr. Seward by Orson Welles, the Russian Captain by Ray Collins, the Mate by Carl Swenson, Mina Harker by Agnes Moorehead, Lucy Westenra by Elizabeth Farrer, and Count Dracula by Orson Welles. Bernard Herrmann composed the original music and conducted. Dan Seymour speaking.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Ladies and gentlemen, the director of the Mercury Theater and star of these broadcasts, Orson Welles.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's, and yet as mortal as his own. We know now that as human beings busied themselves about their various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a man with a microscope might scrutinize the transient creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. With infinite complacence, people went to and fro over the earth about their little affairs, serene in the assurance of their dominion over this small, spinning fragment of solar driftwood, which by chance or design, man has inherited out of the dark mystery of time and space. Yet across an immense ethereal gulf, minds that are to our minds as ours are to the beasts in the jungle, intellects vast, cool, and unsympathetic, regarded this earth with envious eyes and slowly and surely drew their plans against us. In the 39th year of the 20th century came the Great Disillusionment. Near the end of October, business was better. The war scare was over. More men were back at work. Sales were picking up. On this particular evening, October 30th, the Crosley service estimated that 32 million people were listening in on radios.
Next 24 hours, not much change in temperature. A slight atmospheric disturbance of undetermined origin is reported over Nova Scotia, causing a low-pressure area to move down rather rapidly over the northeastern states, bringing a forecast of rain accompanied by wind of light gale force. Maximum temperature 66, minimum 48. This weather report comes to you from the Government Weather Bureau. We take you now to the Meridian Room in the Hotel Park Plaza in downtown New York, where you will be entertained by the music of Raymond Raquello and his orchestra.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From the Meridian Room in the Park Plaza Hotel in New York City, we bring you the music of Raymond Raquello and his orchestra. With a touch of the Spanish, Raymond Raquello leads off with La Compancita.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. At 20 minutes before 8 Central Time, Professor Farrell of the Mount Jennings Observatory, Chicago, Illinois, reports observing several explosions of incandescent gas occurring at regular intervals on the planet Mars. The spectroscope indicates the gas to be hydrogen and moving toward the Earth with enormous velocity. Professor Pearson of the observatory at Princeton confirms Farrell's observation and describes the phenomenon as, quote, like a jet of blue flame shot from a gun, unquote. We now return you to the music of Raymond Raquello, playing for you in the Meridian Room of the Park Plaza Hotel, situated in downtown New York.
And now a tune that never loses favor, the ever-popular Stardust, Raymond Raquello and his orchestra.
Ladies and gentlemen, following on the news given in our bulletin a moment ago, the Government Meteorological Bureau has requested the large observatories of the country to keep an astronomical watch on any further disturbances occurring on the planet Mars. Due to the unusual nature of this occurrence, we have arranged an interview with a noted astronomer, Professor Pearson, who will give us his views on this event. In a few moments, we will take you to the Princeton Observatory at Princeton, New Jersey. We return you until then to the music of Raymond Raquello and his orchestra. We are ready now to take you to the Princeton Observatory at Princeton, where Carl Phillips, our commentator, will interview Professor Richard Pearson, famous astronomer. We take you now to Princeton, New Jersey.
Carl Phillips speaking to you from the observatory at Princeton. I'm standing in a large semicircular room, pitch black except for an oblong slit in the ceiling. Through this opening, I can see a sprinkling of stars that cast a kind of frosty glow over the intricate mechanism of the huge telescope. The ticking sound you hear is the vibration of the clockwork. Professor Pearson stands directly above me on a small platform, peering through the giant lens. I ask you to be patient, ladies and gentlemen, during any delay that may arise during our interview. Besides the ceaseless watch of the heavens, Professor Pearson may be interrupted by telephone or other communications. During this period, he is in constant touch with the astronomical centers of the world. Professor, may I begin our questions?
At any time, Mr. Phillips.
Professor, would you please tell our radio audience exactly what you see as you observe the planet Mars through your telescope?
Nothing unusual at the moment, Mr. Phillips. A red disk swimming in a blue sea. Transverse stripes across the disk. Quite distinct now because Mars happens to be at the point nearest the Earth, in opposition, as we call it.
In your opinion, what do these transverse stripes signify, Professor?
Not canals, I can assure you, Mr. Phillips. Although that's the popular conjecture of those who imagine Mars to be inhabited. From a scientific viewpoint, the stripes are merely the result of atmospheric conditions peculiar to the planet.
Then you're quite convinced, as a scientist, that living intelligence as we know it does not exist on Mars?
I'd say the chances against it are 1,000 to 1.
And yet, how do you account for these gas eruptions occurring on the surface of the planet at regular intervals?
Phillips, I cannot account for it.
By the way, Professor, for the benefit of our listeners, how far is Mars from the Earth?
Approximately 40 million miles.
Well, that seems a safe enough distance. Just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Someone has just handed Professor Pearson a message. While he reads it, let me remind you that we are speaking to you from the observatory in Princeton, New Jersey, where we are interviewing the world-famous astronomer, Professor Pearson. One moment, please. Professor Pearson has passed me a message which he has just received. Professor, may I read the message to the listening audience?
Certainly, Mr. Phillips.
Ladies and gentlemen, I shall read you a wire addressed to Professor Pearson from Dr. Gray of the Natural History Museum, New York. Quote, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Seismograph registered shock of almost earthquake intensity occurring within a radius of 20 miles of Princeton. Please investigate. Signed, Lloyd Gray, Chief of Astronomical Division. Unquote. Professor Pearson, could this occurrence possibly have something to do with the disturbances observed on the planet Mars?
Hardly, Mr. Phillips. This is probably a meteorite of unusual size, and its arrival at this particular time is merely a coincidence. However, we shall conduct a search as soon as daylight permits.
Thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 10 minutes, we've been speaking to you from the observatory at Princeton, bringing you a special interview with Professor Pearson, noted astronomer. This is Carl Phillips speaking. We are returning you now to our New York studio.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. Toronto, Canada. Professor Morse of Macmillan University reports observing a total of 3 explosions on the planet Mars between the hours of 7:45 p.m. and 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This confirms earlier reports received from American observatories. Now, nearer home, comes a special bulletin from Trenton, New Jersey. It is reported that at 8:50 p.m., a huge flaming object, believed to be a meteorite, fell on a farm in the neighborhood of Grover's Mill, New Jersey, 22 miles from Trenton. The flash in the sky was visible within a radius of several hundred miles, and the noise of the impact was heard as far north as Elizabeth. We have dispatched a special mobile unit to the scene, and we'll have our commentator, Carl Phillips, give you a word picture of the scene as soon as he can reach there from Princeton. In the meantime, we take you to the Hotel Martinet in Brooklyn, where Bobby Millett and his orchestra are offering a program of dance music. We take you now to Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Carl Phillips again, out at the Wilmot Farm, Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Professor Pearson and myself made the 11 miles from Princeton in 10 minutes. Well, I hardly know where to begin. To paint for you a word picture of a strange scene before my eyes, like something out of a modern Arabian Nights. Well, I just got here. I haven't had a chance to look around yet. I guess that's it. Yes, I guess that's the thing directly in front of me, half buried in a vast pit. Must have struck with terrific force. The ground is covered with splinters of a tree. It must have struck on its way down. But I can see the object itself doesn't look very much like a meteor, least not the meteors I've seen. It looks more like a huge cylinder. Has a diameter of, what would you say, Professor Pearson?
What's that?
What would you say, what's the diameter of this?
About 30 yards.
About 30 yards. The metal on the sheath is, well, I've never seen anything like it. The color is sort of yellowish white. There's curious spectators now are pressing close to the object in spite of the efforts of the police to keep them back. Getting in front of my line. Would you mind standing one side, please? While the police pushing the crowd back. Here's Mr. Wilmot, owner of the farm here. He may have some interesting facts to add. Mr. Wilmot, would you please tell the radio audience as much as you remember of this rather unusual visitor that stopped in your backyard? Step closer, please. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Wilmot.
Well, I was listening to the radio.
Closer and louder, please.
Pardon me?
Louder, please, closer.
Yes. I was listening to the radio and kind of drowsy. That professor fellow was talking about Mars, so I was half dozing and half...
Yes, Mr. Wilmot, and then what happened?
Well, as I was saying, I was listening to the radio, kind of halfway.
Yes, Mr. Wilmot, and then you saw something.
Well, not first off. I heard something.
And what did you hear?
A hissing sound like this. Kind of like a 4th of July rocket.
Yes, then what?
I turned my head out the window and would have sworn I was asleep and dreaming.
Yes?
I seen a kind of greenish streak and then zingo. Something smacked the ground, knocked me clear out of my chair.
Well, were you frightened, Mr. Wilmot?
Well, I ain't quite sure. I reckon I was kind of riled.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wilmot. Thank you very much.
You want me to tell
No, that's quite all right. That's plenty. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard Mr. Wilmot, owner of the farm where this thing has fallen. I wish I could convey the atmosphere, the background of this fantastic scene. Hundreds of cars are parked in the field in back of us, and the police are trying to rope off the roadway leading into the farm, but it's no use. They're breaking right through. Car's headlights throw an enormous spotlight on the pit where the object's half buried. Now, some of the more daring souls now are venturing near the edge. They're silhouettes stand out against the metal sheen. One man wants to touch the thing. He's having an argument with the policeman. The policeman wins. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's something I haven't mentioned in all this excitement, but it's becoming more distinct. Perhaps you've caught it already on your radio. Listen, please. Do you hear it? It's a curious humming sound that seems to come from inside the object. I'll move the microphone nearer. Here. Now, we're not more than 25 feet away. Can you hear it now? Professor Pearson?
Yes,
can you tell us the meaning of that scraping noise inside the thing?
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I say, do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial. Not found on this Earth. Friction with the Earth's atmosphere usually tears holes in a meteorite. This thing is smooth, and you can see its cylindrical shape.
Something's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, this is terrific. This end of the thing is beginning to flake off. The top is beginning to rotate like a screw, and this thing must be hollow.
He's moving. Keep back. Keep those men back. Keep back. Keep those idiots back. He's off. The top blew. Go down. Stand back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most terrifying thing I've ever witnessed. Wait a minute. Something I can see coming out of that black hole through luminous discs. The eyes, it might be a face, might be almost Good heavens, something wriggling out of the shadow like a gray snake. Now it's another one, and another one, and another one. They look like tentacles to me. I can see the thing's body now. It's large as a bear. It glistens like wet leather, but that face, ladies and gentlemen, to describe it, I can hardly force myself to keep looking at it. It's so awful. The eyes are black, and they gleam like a serpent. The mouth is kind of V-shaped with saliva dripping from its rimless lips. It seems to quiver and pulsate, and the monster, or whatever it is, can hardly move. It seems weighed down by possibly gravity or something. The thing's rising up now, and the crowd falls back. They see plenty. The most extraordinary experience, ladies and gentlemen. I can't find words. Well, I'll pull this microphone with me as I talk. I'll have to stop the description until I can take a new position. Hold on, will you please? I'll be right back in a minute.
We are bringing you an eyewitness account of what's happening on the Wilmot Farm, Grover's Mill, New Jersey. We now return you to Carl Phillips at Grover's Mill.
Ladies and gentlemen, here I am, back of a stone wall that adjoins Mr. Wilmot's garden. From here, I get a sweep of the whole scene. I'll give you every detail as long as I can talk and as long as I can see. There's more state police have arrived. They're drawing up a cordon in front of the pit. About 30 of them. No need to push the crowd back now. They're willing to keep their distance. The captain is conferring with someone. Can't quite see who. Oh, yes, I believe it's Professor Pearson. Yes, it is. Now they've parted, and the professor moves around one side, studying the object while his captain and two policemen advance with something in their hands. I can see it now. It's a white handkerchief tied to a pole. Flag of truce. If those creatures know what that means, what anything means. Wait a minute, something's happening. Humped shape is rising out of the pit. I can make out a small beam of light against a mirror. What's that? There's a jet of flame springing from the mirror and it leaps right at the advancing men. It strikes them head on. Lord, they're turning into flames. The whole field caught up by the woods, the barns, the gas tanks of the automobiles spreading everywhere. Coming this way now, about 20 yards to my right.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue the broadcast from Grover's Mill. Evidently, there's some difficulty with our field transmission. However, we will return to that point at the earliest opportunity. In the meantime, we have a late bulletin from San Diego, California. Professor Indelkoffer, speaking at a dinner of the California Astronomical Society, expressed the opinion that the explosions on Mars are undoubtedly nothing more than severe volcanic disturbances on the surface of the planet. We continue now with our piano interlude.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've just been handed a message that came in from Grover's Mill by telephone. Just one moment, please. At least 40 people, including 6 state troopers, lie dead in a field east of the village of Grover's Mill. Their bodies burned and distorted beyond all possible recognition. The next voice you hear will be that of Brigadier General Montgomery Smith, commander of the state militia at Trenton, New Jersey.
I have been requested by the governor of New Jersey to place the counties of Mercer and Middlesex as far west as Princeton and east to Jamesburg under martial law. No one will be permitted to enter this area except by special pass issued by state or military authorities. 4 companies of state militia are proceeding from Trenton to Grover's Mill and will aid in the evacuation of homes within the range of military operations. Thank you.
You have just been listening to General Montgomery Smith, commanding the state militia at Trenton. In the meantime, further details of the catastrophe at Grover's Mill are coming in. The strange creatures, after unleashing their deadly assault, crawled back in their pit and made no attempt to prevent the efforts of the firemen to recover the bodies and extinguish the fire. The combined fire departments of Mercer County are fighting the flames which menace the entire countryside. We have been unable to establish any contact with our mobile unit at Grover's Mill, but we hope to be able to return you there at the earliest possible moment. In the meantime, we take you to... Just one moment, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been informed that we have finally established communication with an eyewitness of the tragedy. Professor Pearson has been located at a farmhouse near Grover's Mill, where he has established an emergency observation post. As a scientist, he will give you his explanation of the calamity. The next voice you hear will be that of Professor Pearson, brought to you by direct wire. Professor Pearson.
Of the creatures in the rocket cylinder at Grover's Mill, I can give you no authoritative information, either as to their nature, their origin, or their purposes here on Earth. Of their destructive instrument, I might venture some conjectural explanation. For want of a better term, I shall refer to the mysterious weapon as a heat ray. It's all too evident that these creatures have scientific knowledge far in advance of our own. It's my guess that in some way they are able to generate an intense heat in a chamber of practically absolute non-conductivity. This intense heat they project in a parallel beam against any object they choose by means of a polished parabolic mirror of unknown composition, much as the mirror of a lighthouse projects a beam of light. That is my conjecture of the origin of the heat ray.
Thank you, Professor Pearson. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a bulletin from Trenton. It is a brief statement informing us that the charred body of Carl Phillips has been identified in the Trenton Hospital. Now here's another bulletin from Washington, D.C. The Office of the Director of the National Red Cross reports 10 units of Red Cross emergency workers have been assigned to the headquarters of the state militia, stationed outside of Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Here's a bulletin from State Police, Princeton Junction. The fires at Grover's Mill and vicinity are now under control. Scouts report all quiet in the pit, and there is no sign of life appearing from the mouth of the cylinder. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special statement from Mr. Harry McDonald, Vice President in charge of operations.
We have received a request from the State Militia of Trenton to place at their disposal our entire broadcasting facilities. In view of the gravity of the situation, and believing that radio has a responsibility to serve in the public interest at all times, we are turning over our facilities to the State Militia at Trenton.
We take you now to the field headquarters of the State Militia near Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
This is Captain Lansing of the Signal Corps, attached to the State Militia, now engaged in military operations in the vicinity of Grover's Mill. Situation arising from the reported presence of certain individuals of unidentified nature is now under complete control. The cylindrical object, which lies in a pit directly below our position, surrounded on all sides by 8 battalions of infantry, without heavy field pieces, but adequately armed with rifles and machine guns. All cause for alarm, if such cause ever existed, is now entirely unjustified. Things, whatever they are, do not even venture to poke their heads above the pit. I can see their hiding place plainly in the glare of the searchlights here. With all their reported resources, these creatures can scarcely stand up against heavy machine gun fire. Anyway, it's an interesting outing for the troops. I can make out their khaki uniforms crossing back and forth in front of the lights. Looks almost like a real war. There appears to be some slight smoke in the woods bordering the Millstone River. Probably fire started by campers. Well, we ought to see some action soon. One of the companies is deploying on the left flank. A quick thrust and it'll all be over. Oh, wait a minute. I see something on top of the cylinder. No, it's nothing but a shadow. Now the troops are on the edge of the Wilmot Farm. 7,000 armed men closing in on an old metal tube. A tub, rather. Well, wait, that wasn't a shadow. It's something moving. Solid metal, kind of a shield-like affair rising up out of the cylinder. Going higher and higher. What? It's standing on legs, actually rearing up on a sort of metal framework. Now it's reaching above the trees and the searchlights are on it. Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, both the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from the planet Mars. The battle which took place tonight at Grover Mills has ended in one of the most startling defeats ever suffered by an army in modern times. 7,000 men armed with rifles and machine guns pitted against a single fighting machine of the invaders from Mars. 120 known survivors. The rest strewn over the battle area from Grover's Mill to Plainsboro, crushed and trampled to death under the metal feet of the monster, or burned to cinders by its heat ray. The monster is now in control of the middle section of New Jersey and has effectively cut the state through its center. Communication lines are down from Pennsylvania to the Atlantic Ocean. Railroad tracks are torn and service from New York to Philadelphia discontinued, except routing some of the trains through Allerton and Phoenixville. Highways to the north, south, and west are clogged with frantic human traffic. Police and army reserves are unable to control the mad flight. By morning, the fugitives will have swelled Philadelphia, Camden, and Trenton. It is estimated to twice their normal population. Martial law prevails throughout New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania. At this time, we take you to Washington for a special broadcast on the national emergency. The Secretary of the Interior.
Citizens of the nation, I shall not try to conceal the gravity of the situation that confronts the country, nor the concern of your government in protecting the lives and property of its people. However, I wish to impress upon you, private citizens and public officials, all of you, the urgent need of calm and resourceful action. Fortunately, this formidable enemy is still confined to a comparatively small area, and we may place our faith in the military forces to keep them there. In the meantime, placing our faith in God, we must continue the performance of our duties, each and every one of us, so that we may confront this destructive adversary with a nation united, courageous, and consecrated to the preservation of human supremacy on this earth. I thank you.
You have just heard the Secretary of the Interior speaking from Washington. Bulletins too numerous to read are piling up in the studio here. We're informed that the central portion of New Jersey is blacked out from radio communication due to the effect of the heat ray upon power lines and electrical equipment. Here's a special bulletin in New York. Cables have been received from English, French, and German scientific bodies offering assistance. Astronomers report continued gas outbursts at regular intervals on the planet Mars. The majority voiced the opinion that the enemy will be reinforced by additional rocket machines. There have been several attempts made to locate Professor Pearson of Princeton, who has observed Martians at close range. It is feared he was lost in the recent battle. Langham Field, Virginia. Scouting planes report 3 Martian machines visible above treetops, moving north toward Somerville with population fleeing ahead of them. The heat ray is not in use, although advancing at express train speed. Invaders pick their way carefully. They seem to be making a conscious effort to avoid destruction of cities and countryside. However, they stop to uproot power lines, bridges, and railroad tracks. Their apparent objective is to crush resistance, paralyze communication, and disorganize human society. Here is a bulletin from Basking Ridge, New Jersey. Coon hunters have stumbled on a second cylinder similar to the first, embedded in the great swamp 20 miles south of Morristown. Army field pieces are proceeding from Newark to blow up the second invading unit before the cylinder can be opened and the fighting machine rigged. They are taking up a position in the foothills of Watchung Mountains. Another bulletin from Langham Field, Virginia. Scouting planes report enemy machines, now 3 in number, increasing speed northward, kicking over houses and trees in their evident haste to form a conjunction with their allies south of Morristown. Machines also sighted by telephone operator east of Middlesex within 10 miles of Plainfield. Here's a bulletin from Winston-Field, Long Island. A fleet of Army bombers carrying heavy explosives flying north in pursuit of enemy. Scouting planes act as guides. They keep the speeding enemy in sight. Just a moment, please, ladies and gentlemen. We've run special wires to the artillery line and adjacent villages to give you direct reports from the zone of the advancing enemy. First, we take you to the battery of the 22nd Field Artillery, located in the Watchung Mountains.
Range 32 meters.
32 meters.
Projection 39 degrees.
39 degrees.
Fire. 140 yards to the right, sir. Shift range 31 meters.
31 meters.
Projection 37 degrees.
37 degrees.
Fire. Hit, sir. Got the tripod of one of them. That's off. The others are trying to repair it.
Quick, get the range.
Shift 30 meters.
30 meters.
Projection 27 degrees.
27 degrees.
Fire. Can't see the shell lamp, sir. Letting off a smoke.
What is it?
Black smoke, sir. Moving this way. Flying close to the ground. Moving fast.
Put on gas mask.
Get ready to fire. Shift to 24 meters.
24 meters.
Projection 24 degrees.
24 degrees.
Fire. Still can't see, sir. Smoke's coming nearer. Get the range. 50 meters. 23 meters. 43 meters. Projection 22 degrees. 22 degrees.
Army bombing plane B-843 off Bayonne, New Jersey. Lieutenant Bolt, commanding 8 bombers, reporting to Commander Fairfax, Langham Field. This is Bolt reporting to Commander Fairfax, Langham Field. Enemy tripod machines now in sight. Reinforced by 3 machines from the Morristown cylinder. 6 altogether. 1 machine partially crippled. Believed hit by shell from Army gun in Watchung Mountains. Guns now appear silent. A heavy black fog hanging close to the earth of extreme density, nature unknown. No sign of heat ray. Enemy now turns east, crossing Passaic River in the Jersey marshes. Another straddles the Pulaski Skyway. Evident objective is New York City. They're pushing down a high-tension power station. Machines are close together now, and we're ready to attack. Planes circling, ready to strike. 1,000 yards, and we'll be over the first. 800 yards. 600. 400. 200. There they go. Giant arm raised. Green flash. Spraying us with flame. 2,000 feet. Engines are giving out. No chance to release bombs. Only one thing left. Drop on them, plane and all. We're diving on the first one. Now the engine's gone. 8. This is Bayonne, New Jersey, calling Langham Field. This is Bayonne, New Jersey, calling Langham Field. Come in, please.
This is Langham Field. Go ahead.
8 Army bombers in engagement with enemy tripod machines over Jersey Flats. Engines incapacitated by heat ray. All crashed. 1 enemy machine destroyed. Enemy now discharging heavy black smoke in direction of...
This is Newark, New Jersey. This is Newark, New Jersey. Warning. Poisonous black smoke pouring in from Jersey marshes. Reach at South Street. Gas masks useless. Urge population to move into open spaces. Automobiles use routes 7, 23, 24. Avoid congested areas. Smoke now spreading over Raymond Boulevard.
2X2L calling CQ, 2X2L calling CQ, 2X2L calling 8X3R. Come in, please.
This is 8X3R coming back at 2X2L.
How's reception? How's reception? Okay, please. Where are you, 8X3R? What's the matter? Where are you?
I'm speaking from the roof of Broadcasting Building. I'm speaking from the roof of Broadcasting Building, New York City. The bells you hear are ringing to warn the people to evacuate the city as the Martians approach. Estimated in the last 2 hours, 3 million people have moved out along the roads to the north. Hutchison River Parkway still kept open for motor traffic. Avoid bridges to Long Island, hopelessly jammed. All communication with Jersey Shore closed 10 minutes ago. No more defenses. Our army is wiped out. Artillery, Air Force, everything wiped out. This may be the last broadcast. We'll stay here to the end. People are holding service here below us in the cathedral. Now I look down the harbor, all manner of boats, overloaded with fleeing population, pulling out from docks. Streets are all jammed. Noise and crowds like New Year's Eve in city. Wait a minute, the enemy's now in sight above the Palisades. Five great machines. First one is crossing the river. I can see it from here, wading the Hudson like a man wading through a brook. A bulletin is handed me. Martian cylinders are falling all over the country. One outside of Buffalo, one in Chicago, St. Louis. Seem to be time and space. Now the first machine reaches the shore. He stands watching, looking over the city. Steel cowlish head is even with the skyscrapers. He waits for the others. They rise like a line of new towers on the city's west side. Now they're lifting their metal hands. This is the end now. Smoke comes out, black smoke drifting over the city. People in the streets see it now. They're running toward the East River, thousands of them, dropping in like rats. Now the smoke's spreading faster. It's reached Times Square. People are trying to run away from it, but it's no use. They're falling like flies. Now the smoke's crossing 6th Avenue. 5th Avenue. 100 yards away. It's 50 feet.
Calling CQ. 2X2L calling CQ. 2X2L calling CQ, New York. Isn't there anyone on the air? Isn't there anyone on the air? Isn't there anyone? 2X2L.
You are listening to a CBS presentation of Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air in an original dramatization of The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. The performance will continue after a brief intermission. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System. The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells, starring Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air.
As I set down these notes on paper, I'm obsessed by the thought that I may be the last living man on Earth. I've been hiding in this empty house near Grover's Mill, a small island of daylight cut off by the black smoke from the rest of the world. All that happened before the arrival of these monstrous creatures in the world now seems part of another life. A life that has no continuity with the present. Furtive existence of the lonely derelict who pencils these words on the back of some astronomical notes bearing the signature of Richard Pearson. I look down at my blackened hand, and I try to connect them with a professor who lives at Princeton and who, on the night of October 20th, glimpsed through his telescope an orange splash of light on a distant planet. My wife, my colleagues, my students, my books, my observatory, my world. Where are they? Did they ever exist? Am I Richard Pearson? What day is it? Do days exist without calendars? Does time pass when there are no human hands left to wind the clocks? Writing down my daily life, I tell myself I shall preserve human history between the dark covers of this little book that was meant to record the movements of the stars. But to write, I must live, and to live, I must eat. Find molded bread in the kitchen and an orange not too spoiled to swallow. Keep watch at the window. Time to time, I catch sight of a Martian above the black smoke. The smoke still holds the house in its black coil, but at length there's a hissing sound, and suddenly I see a Martian mounted on his machine, spraying the air with a jet of steam as if to dissipate the smoke. I watch in a corner as his huge metal legs nearly brush against the house. Exhausted by terror, I fall asleep. Morning. Morning. Sun streams in the window. A black cloud of gas is lifted, and the scorched meadows to the north look as though a black snowstorm had passed over them. I venture from the house. I make my way to a road, no traffic. Here and there, a wrecked car, baggage overturned, a blackened skeleton. Push on north. For some reason, I feel safer trailing these monsters than running away from them. And I keep a careful watch. I've seen the Martians feed. Should one of their machines appear over the top of trees, I'm ready to fling myself flat on the earth. Come to a chestnut tree. October. Chestnuts are ripe. Fill my pockets. I must keep alive. 2 days I wander in a vague northerly direction through a desolate world. Finally, I notice a living creature. A small red squirrel in a beech tree. I stare at him and wonder. He stares back at me. I believe at that moment the animal and I shared the same emotion. The joy of finding another living being. Push on north. I find dead cows in a brackish field, and beyond the charred ruins of a dairy and a silo, remain standing guard over the wasteland like a lighthouse. Deserted by the sea. Astride the silo perches a weathercock. The arrow points north. North. Next day, I come to a city. City vaguely familiar in its contours, yet its buildings strangely dwarfed and leveled off as if a giant had sliced off its highest towers with a capricious sweep of his hand. Reached the outskirts. I found Newark. Newark, undemolished but humbled by some whim of the advancing Martians. Presently, with an odd feeling of being watched, I caught sight of something crouching in a doorway. I made a step towards it. It rose up and became a man. A man armed with a large knife.
Stop! Where do you come from?
I come from many places. A long time ago, from Princeton.
Princeton, huh? That's near Grover's Mill.
Yes.
Grover's Mill. There's no food here. This is my country. All this end of town down the river. There's only food for one. Which way are you going?
I don't know. I guess I'm looking for people.
Hey, what was that? Did you hear something just then?
No. Only a bird. A live bird.
You get to know that birds have shadows these days. Say, we're in the open here. Let's crawl in this doorway here and talk.
Have you seen any Martians?
No. They're going over to New York. Night, the sky's alive with their lights, just as if people were still living in it. By daylight, you can't see them. 5 days ago, a couple of them carried something big across the flats from the airport. I think they're learning how to fly.
Fly?
Yeah, fly.
Well, it's all over with humanity. Stranger, there's still you and I. 2 of us left.
Yeah. They got themselves in solid. They wrecked the greatest country in the world. Those green stars, they're probably falling somewhere every night. They've only lost 1 machine. There isn't anything to do. We're done. We're licked.
Where were you? You're in a uniform.
Yeah, what's left of it. I was in the militia. National Guard. That's good. There wasn't any war. Any more than there's war between men and ants.
Yes, but we're eatable ants. I found that out. What'll they do to us?
I thought it all out. Right now, we're caught as we're wanted. The Martian only has to go a few miles to get a crowd on the run. But they won't keep on doing that. They'll begin catching us systematic, like keeping the best and storing us in cages and things. They haven't begun on us yet.
Not begun?
Not begun. All that's happened so far is because we don't have sense enough to keep quiet. Bothering them with guns and such stuff and losing our heads and rushing off in crowds. Now, instead of our rushing around blind, we got to fix ourselves up. Fix ourselves up according to the way things are now. Cities, nations, civilization, progress.
Yes, but if that's so, what is there to live for?
Well, there won't be any more concerts for 1,000,000 years or so, and no nice little dinners at restaurants. If it's amusement you're after, I guess the game's up.
What is there left?
Life, that's what. I want to live. Yeah, and so do you. We're not going to be exterminated. And I don't mean to be caught either. Tamed and fattened and bred like an ox.
What are you going to do?
I'm going on. Right under their feet. I got a plan. We men, as men, we're finished. We don't know enough. We got to learn plenty before we got a chance. We've got to live and keep free while we learn, see? I've thought it all out, see?
Well, tell me the rest.
Well, it isn't all of us that are made for wild beasts. That's what it got to. That's what it got to be. That's why I watched you. Watched you. All those little office workers that used to live in these houses. They be no good. They haven't any stuff in them. They used to run off to work. I've seen hundreds of them running to catch their commuter's train in the morning, afraid they'd get canned if they didn't. Running back at night, afraid they wouldn't be in time for dinner. Lives insured and a little invested in case of accidents. Yeah, and on Sundays, worried about the hereafter. Well, the Martians, they'll be a godsend for those guys. Nice, roomy cages, good food, careful breeding, no worries. Yeah, after a week or so of chasing around the fields on empty stomachs, they'll come and be glad to be caught.
You've thought it all out, haven't you?
Sure, you bet I have. That isn't all. These Martians are going to make pets of some of them. Train them to do tricks. Who knows, get sentimental over the pet boy who grew up and had to be killed. Yeah, and some maybe, they'll train to hunt us.
Oh, no, it's impossible. Human
Yes,
beings.
they will. There's men who do it gladly. If one of them ever comes after me, by...
In the meantime, you and I and others like us, where are we to live when the Martians own the Earth?
I got it all figured out. Live underground. I've been thinking about the sewers. Under New York, there are miles and miles of them. The main ones, they're big enough for anybody. And there's cellars, vaults, underground storerooms, railway tunnels, subways. You begin to see, huh? They got a bunch of strong men together. No weak. That rubbish, out.
As you meant me to go.
All right. Give you a chance, didn't I?
Won't quarrel about that. Go on.
Well, we got to make safe places for us to stay in, see? Get all the books we can. Science books. That's where men like you come in, see? We raid the museums. We'll even spy on the Martians. May not be so much we have to learn before... Listen, just imagine this. 4 or 5 of their own fighting machines suddenly start off. Heat rays right and left. Not a Martian in them. Not a Martian in them, see? But men. Men who've learned the way how. May even be in our time. Gee, imagine having one of them lovely things with a heat ray wide and free. We'd turn it on Martians. We'd turn it on men. We'd bring everybody down on their knees.
That's your plan.
Yeah. You, me, a few more of us. We'd own the world.
I see.
Hey. Hey, what's the matter? Where are you going?
Not to your world. Bye, stranger. Well, after parting with the artilleryman, I came at last to the Holland Tunnel, entered that silent tube. Anxious to know the fate of the great city on the other side of the Hudson. Cautiously, I came out of the tunnel and made my way up Canal Street. Reached 14th Street, and there again were black powder and several bodies and an evil, ominous smell from the gratings of the cellars of some of the houses. I wandered up through the 30s and 40s, stood alone on Times Square, caught sight of a lean dog running down 7th Avenue with a piece of dark brown meat in his jaws and a pack of starving mongrels at his heels. Made a wide circle around me as though he feared I might prove a fresh competitor. Walked up Broadway in the direction of that strange powder, past silent shop windows, displaying their mute wares to empty sidewalks. Past the Capitol Theater, silent, dark. Past a shooting gallery where a row of empty guns faced an arrested line of wooden ducks. Near Columbus Circle, I noticed models of 1939 motor cars in the showrooms facing empty streets. Over the top of the General Motors building, I watched a flock of black birds circling in the sky. Hurried on. Suddenly, I caught sight of the hood of a Martian machine, standing somewhere in Central Park, gleaming in the late afternoon sun. An insane idea. I rushed recklessly across Columbus Circle and into the park. I climbed a small hill above the pond at 60th Street, and from there I could see standing in a silent row along the mall 19 of those great metal titans, their cowls empty, their steel arms hanging listlessly by their sides. I looked in vain for the monsters that inhabit those machines. Suddenly, my eyes were attracted to the immense flock of black birds that hovered directly below me. They circled to the ground. And there before my eyes, stark and silent, lay the Martians with the hungry birds pecking and tearing brown shreds of flesh from their dead bodies. Later, when their bodies were examined in laboratories, it was found that they were killed by the putrefactive and disease bacteria against which their systems were unprepared. Slain, after all, man's defenses had failed by the humblest thing that God, His wisdom, has put upon this earth. Before the cylinder fell, there was a general persuasion that through all the deep of space, no life existed beyond the petty surface of our minute sphere. Now we see further. Dim and wonderful is the vision I've conjured up in my mind of life spreading slowly from this little seedbed of the solar system throughout the inanimate vastnesses of sidereal space. But a remote dream, maybe that the destruction of the Martians is only a reprieve to them and not to us. The future ordained, perhaps. Strange it now seems to sit in my peaceful study in Princeton, writing down this last chapter of the record, begun at a deserted farm in Grover's Mill. Strange to watch children playing in the streets. Strange to see young people strolling on the green where the new spring grass heals the last black scars of a bruised earth. Strange to watch the sightseers enter the museum where the dissembled parts of a Martian machine are kept on public view. Strange when I recall the time when I first saw it. Bright and clean-cut, hard and silent under the dawn of that last great day. This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen, out of character, to assure you that the War of the Worlds has no further significance than as the holiday offering it was intended to be. The Mercury Theater's own radio version of dressing up in a sheet and jumping out of a bush and saying boo. Starting now, we couldn't soap all your windows and steal all your garden gates by tomorrow night, so we did the best next thing. We annihilated the world before your very ears and utterly destroyed the CBS. You will be relieved, I hope, to learn that we didn't mean it, and that both institutions are still open for business. So goodbye, everybody, and remember, please, for the next day or so, the terrible lesson you learned tonight. That grinning, glowing, globular invader of your living room is an inhabitant of the pumpkin patch, and if your doorbell rings and nobody's there, that was no Martian. It's Halloween.
Tonight, the Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations coast to coast has brought you The War of the World by H.G. Wells, the 17th in its weekly series of dramatic broadcasts featuring Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air. Next week, we present a dramatization of 3 famous short stories. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You can open a beer and pour it right in your ear, 'cause it's a half-hour radio show. You can turn the TV off, read a book by Nabokov. Oh, please look to the left and come now to the right, now to the left. Or you can sit on a chair, stand on your head on the stair, 'cause it's a half-hour radio show. Get up, sit down, look left and right, and then just sit back. Hang up the phone, shut off the kids, and go get a snack. This show's no worse than bowling or a nuclear attack. It's a half-hour radio, now on the radio, half-hour radio show.
Hello, I'm Jeff Crow.
And I'm Tom Curley.
And welcome to a half-hour radio show.
Yes, welcome. And we want to tell you that we've got a great show planned for you.
That's right. We'll be visiting with the old salt, Amos P. Graveleg, for some more tips for fishermen.
We'll also be answering more questions from dogs all around the country when we Ask Dr. Dog.
Starring Dr. George A. Dog.
Who, as we all know by now, was...
We interrupt this program to bring you the following special news bulletin. Flash!
Whoa! Hold it right there, Flash.
We just, pardon?
What do you think you're doing?
I'm interrupting this program
Exactly. You are interrupting our show.
Who are you?
Well, me? I'm the special events announcer.
How did you get in here?
Oh, get in? Well,
Do we know you?
Know me, but...
Did we hire you?
Well, no, but...
Did we ask you to come in here?
Well, no, but...
Then get out of here.
But...
No buts. Get out.
I have to read this bulletin.
Oh, no, you don't.
Here, give me that.
But he said no buts. Out.
Boy, can you believe that?
Unbelievable. The nerve of some people just barging in here like that.
Where did he come from?
I don't know. Somebody must have left the door to the station unlocked. I should probably go check.
Yeah, good idea.
What did he want to read anyway?
I don't know. Let me look. It says... Scientists at the Mount Jennings Observatory have reported observing unidentified flashes that seem to be originating from the surface of Mars. Further details will be...
Hold it. Give me that. I thought so. Oh, come on. You really expected me to fall for this?
What are you talking about?
What am I talking about?
I asked you first.
Don't be cute. You set this whole thing up.
Set what whole thing up?
This! The announcer, the bulletin, flashes from Mars.
I'll try this again. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what we talked about before the show.
What did we talk about before the show?
About not doing this.
What are we not doing?
We are not doing this.
Okay. I'll try one more time. Tell me what you are talking about, or I'm going to kill you.
I'm talking about the War of the Worlds.
The War of the Worlds?
Yes, the War of the Worlds. All week you wanted to do a recreation of the War of the Worlds, right?
Well, yes, but...
But we decided against it, remember?
Of course I remember. You convinced me that we shouldn't do the War of the Worlds. What does that have to do with any of this?
Oh, come on. We're interrupted by a special bulletin. The bulletin is that flashes of light have been seen on Mars at the Mount Jennings Observatory. Come on, I know the story. You know the story. Everybody knows the story.
You think I did this?
No. I think we're really about to be invaded by little green men from Mars.
I didn't have anything to do with this.
Right.
No, really, I didn't.
You didn't let that announcer
No.
in? You didn't write this bulletin?
No.
No?
No.
Oh. Well, how did that guy get in here?
I've already told you. I don't know. Why don't you go outside and check and see if the door is locked, like you said you were going to do 3 pages ago?
Oh, well, all right, well, look, I'll be right back.
Wonderful. Hi, folks. You're listening to a half-hour radio show, and we'll be getting right back to our regular features just as soon as my partner gets back. In the meantime, we can listen to a little bit of the music of Ramon Raquello and his orchestra.
I caught you!
What?
I caught you! Give me that!
What are you doing?
with
Ramon Raquello. I don't believe you.
What's wrong with the music of Ramon Raquello? I was just filling time until you got back.
Right. You just happen to fill time with the music that just happens to be played in The War of the Worlds. Look, I don't want to do The War of the Worlds. It's been done 1,000,000 times.
I didn't do it on purpose. The record just happened to be in the studio.
Ramon Raquello just happened to be in the studio? Oh, come on. I mean...
We interrupt this program for the following special bulletin. Flash.
Out! Out! No butts! Get out!
I thought you locked the door.
I did.
Then how does he keep getting in here?
I don't know. But maybe they're crawling into the ventilation shaft.
I suppose. What was he going to read this time?
I don't know. He dropped it on the floor. Wait a minute. Let me get it. There, let's see. It says... Reports are coming in of sightings of UFOs in our immediate area. Ah, come on.
How many times do I have to tell you I didn't have anything to do with it?
Sure. And I bet you're not going to have anything to do with our next report that's probably going to say flying saucers have just landed in Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
No, I won't. I've never even been to Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
Count your blessings. Now, look, I mean...
What the hell is that?
A cheap sound effect? I hope.
Nope. Come over here. Look outside.
Okay. Holy...
Do you see what I see?
You mean that glowing, blinking, spinning object that's hovering about 1,000 feet in the air like an escaped special effect from a Steven Spielberg movie?
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, come on, quit kidding around. Look at that. What is it?
Well, I hate to say this, but it looks like a flying saucer?
And it looks like it's going to land?
But it's supposed to land in Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
Looks like it's going to land on the roof.
But we're nowhere near Grover's Mill, New Jersey. I don't think we're anywhere near Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
If you just tuned in, folks, this is a half-hour radio show, and a large, unidentified flying object seems to have just landed on our roof.
Of course, now that I think about it, I'm not even sure exactly where Grover's Mill, New Jersey is.
And we'll be right back right after this word. Hello. Are you one of those busy yet culturally aware people who would like to attend the classical theater but don't because it's too expensive? Do you feel that Shakespeare is basically long and boring and nobody really understands what anybody is saying anyway? Well, if you are one of those people, then we have just the thing for you. Static House, a division of the Long John Sump Pump and Bassinet Society, is offering you the next in our No Time for the Classics series, No Time for Shakespeare. Yes, on just 2 albums, you will hear the complete works of William Shakespeare. How do we do it? Simple. We perform them really fast. You'll hear Hamlet.
Take the speech at radio, whether or not to do critically on the top.
King Lear.
How bad, Your Majesty? You do me wrong to take me out of the grave.
Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, Romeo. Or after Romeo.
And much, much more. Remember, that's No Time for Shakespeare. And here's your announcer to tell you how to order.
Dial 1-900-SHAKESPEARE. That's 1-900-SHAKESPEARE. And remember, the quality of mercy is not spoiled because we add BHT to preserve freshness.
Oh, be some other name.
Hi, folks. Am I on? Hi, folks. We're back here on a half-hour radio show, and if you just tuned in, we are currently on the roof of this radio station where what appears to be an actual, honest-to-God flying saucer has just landed. The ship doesn't seem to be doing anything at the moment.
This is unbelievable.
The ship is well, saucer-shaped with a series of glowing lights ringing the circumference.
I can't believe this is happening. An honest-to-God close encounter of the third kind
there doesn't
live
seem
on
to be
our show.
anybody else around here except us. No police, no press.
Of course there's nobody else here. They're all in Grover's Mill, New Jersey, waiting for this thing.
Yeah, well, I suppose, but...
Hang on. I'll be right back.
Whoa, wait. Where are you going?
I gotta get equipment. We've got to try to communicate with this thing.
We're still on the air. What do I do?
I gotta play this week's episode of Ask Dr. Dog. I'll be right back.
Time again for Ask Dr. Dog, the show that gives the answers dogs want to hear. With noted canine American researcher Dr. George A. Dog, let's ask Dr. Dog.
Hi again, and welcome to Ask Dr. Dog. Dr. Dog says hi. As you know, on Ask Dr. Dog, we answer the questions that you dogs out there have written in. Okay, today's question comes from a spaniel in Des Moines who writes, Dear Dr. Dog, my people have developed the strangest habit. Whenever I do something wrong, one of them will yell, I'm going to get the paper, and then they start beating themselves on the leg with a rolled-up newspaper. They'll continue doing this until I stop whatever I'm doing. Now, the noise alone is driving me crazy, but I'm also afraid they're going to hurt themselves. How can I get them to stop? And it's signed, Peeved at Being Paper-Trained in Des Moines. Well, Dr. Dog, is there anything he can do? Dr. Dog says he doesn't know why humans beat themselves. But you're not alone. Almost every dog I've barked to has seen the same strange behavior. But there is a way to get them to stop. Every time they beat themselves on the leg with a rolled-up newspaper, bare your teeth and growl real loud at them. As far as we know, the noise scares them and they stop whatever they're doing.
You've been listening to Ask Dr. Dog.
Okay.
If you're a dog who has a problem, don't just growl about it. Send in your question to Ask Dr. Dog in care of this station. Hi. We're back here on a half-hour radio show, and if you just joined us, we are on the roof of this radio station where,
Testing,
believe it or
testing.
not,
One,
a
two,
flying
three,
saucer has
sound
just
check.
landed.
One, two.
What are you doing?
I'm setting up this equipment.
Yeah, I can see that. What is it that you're setting up?
I got a digital synthesizer here, high-powered amplifier, speaker stacks. I got the works.
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to communicate.
What?
Look.
Yeah?
Look at it. We are the first people on this planet to actually meet aliens from outer space. Now, we gotta find a way to talk to them. We have to find a way to bridge the vast communication gap that must exist between our two species.
Why don't we just knock on the door and say hello?
Oh, man, you don't you ever go to the movies? You just don't walk up to a spaceship, knock on the door and say, "Hi, how's it hanging?"
I wouldn't say, hi, how's it hanging to anybody.
Look, you've got to talk to them in universal symbols.
Universal symbols?
Right. Universal symbols. You know, like mathematics and like music.
Just knock on the door and say hello.
Hang on. I'm almost set up. Beautiful. Here we go.
It doesn't seem to be working.
Be patient.
Maybe they don't like jazz.
Shut up. I'll try to knock it lower.
I can't believe this. We're live on the radio with a close encounter of the third kind, and you're playing Name That Tune.
Wait. I think it's working. Something's happening. It's answering. Listen. It's responding. It's working. It's playing.
Hello, Dolly?
Hello?
Right. We're being visited by the extraterrestrial road company of Hello, Dolly.
Well, at least it responded.
Wonderful. How do we get it to shut up?
Hello, we come in peace. No, that's wrong. We're on here. Hello, we greet you in peace.
Look, folks, a half-hour radio show will be right back after this word.
We'd like to meet you. We'd like to... Hello. Hey, will you stop that damn music?
Are you tired of reading all those words in the New York Times? Do the graphs and charts in the Wall Street Journal leave you dizzy? Does USA Today go into too much detail? Well, now you have a choice. You can continue to bog your life down with those heavy, long-winded papers, or lighten your load with Da News. Da News prints the same stories as all those other papers. We just do it in simpler language, and with pop-up pictures, too. Now you can see how that gunman robbed that bank in 3D. What's even better, our Sunday comics are now pop-up, too. Just think of how easy it'll be to understand the top stories when you can see them right before your eyes. And many of our figures actually move. Since we only cover the top 3 stories for the day, it's a breeze to get through Da News, the only paper for busy illiterates, available at Da Newsstands everywhere. Pop it up today.
You've just joined us. This is a half-hour radio show, and right now we're up on the roof of this radio station trying to communicate with an alien spaceship that has just landed.
Hey there, will you turn off the music?
I told you just to knock on the door and say hello.
Hello, will you shut off the music?
Do you think we got their attention?
I think I broke my hand. Ow, damn. Ah! Jeez, that scared the hell out of me.
Look, it's opening. Ladies and gentlemen, the ship appears to be opening. A door-like structure has appeared on the outer surface of the saucer. The sound it is making is hard to describe. It's sort of like
somebody opening a big empty mayonnaise jar in a toilet.
Yeah, it does. Well, the door is continuing to open, continuing to make that big empty mayonnaise jar in a toilet sound. And now the door is open.
Hello in there?
Nobody,
Hello?
or should I say no thing, has as of yet emerged from the ship.
Hi in there, Klaatu Barada Necto.
Wait, I see motion. Something or things are emerging from the ship.
That's great. you're coming real aliens live on our show.
The aliens seem to be basically humanoid. There are three of them. One is about half the size of the other two, perhaps indicating that it may be a child of their species.
Let's see over and top this one. I love it.
I'm going to take the microphone over closer now, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully we will be able to talk to them. You are listening to a half-hour radio show, and we are about to be the first radio show in history to communicate with beings from another planet. History will no doubt record this first contact. They're turning their heads toward me. They see me now. I think one is about to speak. Listen.
We're lost. We are not lost. Are we there yet? No, we are not there yet, and we are not lost.
Excuse me.
We're lost. Are we there yet? No, we are not there yet. You've waited 95 light years. You can wait a few more blocks. That's it. Raise your audio level to the child because we're lost. We are not lost.
Excuse me, but...
Why can't you just use a navigation computer like everyone else? Why can't you just stop and ask someone for directions? We are not lost. Are we there yet? No, we are not there yet. And if you don't stop saying that, I'm going to put you back in the suspended animation tank.
Excuse me. Hello, we come in...
All right. If you are too proud to ask simple directions, I'll do it myself. Hello, creature. Can you tell us how to get to Earth?
We come in peace. Pardon, are you talking to me?
Of course I'm talking to you, Two Eyes. How do we get to the planet Earth?
Earth? Well, you're on Earth. This is the planet Earth.
You're kidding? I told you we were not lost. I want to go home. This is the planet Earth?
Yes, yes, it is.
It looked better in the brochure.
I'm sorry.
I want to go home.
Donahue was gonna love these guys.
Listen, this is the planet Earth, and we would like to welcome you.
I want to go
I suppose that now that you're here, you'll want us to take you to our leader.
Negative. We want you to take us to your mall.
Our what?
Our mall?
Affirmative. Your mall. To be specific, we are trying to locate a shopping mall in the vicinity of Secaucus, New Jersey.
What happened to Grover's Mill?
You traveled 95 light years to visit a shopping mall in Secaucus, New Jersey?
Affirmative.
Excuse me, but why would you want to go to a shopping mall in Secaucus, New Jersey?
70% off on Reeboks. And they taste good.
Oh.
70%? No kidding.
Why did you come here?
Because it is a commonly known fact that this planet has more shopping malls than any other place in the galaxy.
Oh.
I want to go to the mall!
Okay, I guess if that's what you want, we can go to the mall. Half-hour radio show will be right back after this word.
Well, first I'd buy me a set of them there pasties. You know, the ones made out of that glitter-type material in silver with long, shiny blue tassels. And next I'd buy a pair of black silk stockings with them there rhinestones running up the sides, and I'd be sure to get a pair of those spike heels and maybe one of those fancy-laced little garters. And then, finally, I'd want a boa made out of long, long feathers to run up and down my body. And once I had all those fancy duds, I'd buy Harry's House of Exotic Dancers and make myself the headline act for Saturday night. Then my husband couldn't ignore me anymore.
The lottery. All you need is $1 and a dumb, stupid dream.
Hi, sugar. It's me, your little Billie Jean.
Hi. We're back on a half-hour radio show, and if you just tuned in, we are currently in a shopping mall somewhere near Secaucus, New Jersey, with 3 aliens from outer space who have visited our planet to shop.
You know, this isn't working out quite exactly the way H.G. Wells planned it.
This is a nice mall you've got here.
Thank you.
2 levels.
Yes, I think so.
Yes, it does. It has 2 levels, no waiting. And you know what else? Each one of those levels has one of those little kiosks where they can make duplicates of your car keys.
I love those places.
I thought you would.
Excuse me, but what happened to your wife and child?
They wandered off. My wife will buy clothing. My child will look for a video game. It is our way.
You know, life in the galaxy is frightfully similar.
You can say that again. Well, what do we do now?
I don't know. I got it. Why don't we buy one of those phony newspapers with the tacky headlines?
Be serious. We're still on the air.
No. I can see it now. Aliens land on a half-hour radio show. They came. They saw. They shopped. Veni, vidi, caveat emptor.
Oh, very funny. Now look.
My wife unit is returning. I see that she has purchased some of your native clothing.
Yes, I see her. She seems to have purchased,
Looks like a pair of Reeboks.
Yeah, they definitely are Reeboks.
She's wearing a pair of Reeboks on her head.
Hello, dear. How do you like my native clothing? It looks lovely, dear. Very chic. Here, I brought something for you, too. This is very nice. What is it?
They're Nikes, big guy.
Should I put them on?
Why not?
How do they look? They look very chic.
I don't believe this.
You don't believe what? that we're standing here live on the air in a shopping mall in Secaucus, New Jersey with two aliens wearing aerobic shoes on their heads? What is there not to believe?
I don't believe this.
Excuse me, sir. Are you with these two?
Yeah, well, sort of, but don't spread it around.
Well, there's a kid that looks just like them in the video arcade.
So?
So, there's a bunch of kids in there who think he's a new video game, and they're trying to play him.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the kid's been shooting at them with some kind of laser gun.
Oh, no. Look, hey, we'll be right back, folks. In the meantime, let's listen to Episode 5 of Sterling Bronson, Space Engineer, which all of a sudden doesn't seem so impossible anymore. This is the story of the United Federated Organization ship Sloth, as it and its crew of contentious cosmonauts blunder aimlessly through interstellar, intergalactic, and interlocutory space. Its 5-year mission to go where nobody has bothered to go before. Our story so far is absolutely ridiculous. Look, let's make it simple. The Sloth didn't have a mission, but Captain Clerk eavesdropped on a telephone call with Starbase Command and got a mission anyway, which is to negotiate with an alien race called the Romulans, who negotiate by drinking, and the first negotiators who fall under the table lose and get turned into scotch. And Clerk wants Sterling Bronson, the chief engineer of the Sloth, to sober up so he can get drunk and negotiate. But Chief Science Officer Spook thinks that is a dumb idea, and now Dr. Femer is calling sick pay for Soberalls, a pill that absorbs over 27 times its weight in alcohol to keep Clerk, Spook, and Bronson sober. And this is Nurse Goody, who has a thing for Spook, who is greenish with pointy ears. Nurse Goody speaks.
Spook! My Spook is sick! My dear sweet Spook! Hang on, my dearest! I am rushing to your side!
Stop! In a minute you rush. First you get the pills.
Will it cure him? How sick is he? Is he very sick? Is he very, very sick? Is he gonna die? I don't know. My Spook is gonna die!
He's not going to die. He's going to drink.
He's gonna drink? Spooky never drinks. Lord knows I've tried. Why is Spooky drinking?
He says he and the captain have to drink a lot and not get drunk so they can save the galaxy. If that makes no sense to you, that's okay because it makes no sense to me. Now, bring up the pills.
Let's see, Soberalls. Soberalls. Now, where did I put those pills? Oh, here they are. No, here they're not. Here they are. You know, if Spook didn't take the Soberalls, he'd probably get tanked. No. He's the first officer and he's going on an important mission. But Spook might loosen up a little if he was a little tipsy. No, the whole galaxy may depend on my Spooky. But a chance like this comes along only once in a lifetime. What's more important, the fate of a galaxy or a hot date with Mr. Spook?
Hello down there, Nurse Temple. Are you there?
Huh? Oh, yes, Dr. Femer.
Well, you're supposed to be up here with my pills. Now step on it.
Coming, Doctor.
Once again, following the totally elusive logic of sending the top officers of the Sloth into peril when almost any replaceable red-shirted extra could do the job just as well and not be missed if they didn't, Clerk, Spook, and Bronson are beamed down to rub elbows, tilt glasses, and toast the ship away with the creme de la creme of Romulan interstellar society. Will Spook remember which fork to use? Will Clerk remember to use a fork? Will Bronson insist on haggis? Did anybody remember the Soberalls? Find out on the next catch-and-a-tory eludible episode of Sterling Bronson, Space Engineer! Hi, folks. We're back here on a half-hour radio show, and right now we're in a video arcade in New Jersey trying to rescue an alien child.
Son, are you all right?
Oh, wow. Far out, man. This game is rad.
Totally rad.
And it's like three-dimensional.
Awesome.
Hey, like, I'm having a hard time putting these quarters in, man.
Kick it, man.
I am not a video game. I'm just an alien kid.
Hey, dude. Like, what's the game firing at you with?
I don't know. Some kind of laser ray.
Yeah, it's like totally real, man.
Yeah, and it even hurts.
Yeah? Let me try. Oh, wow. Oh, real pain.
awesome. Totally awesome.
Okay, that's enough, you two. It's with me. Now, just run along.
Hey, what do you mean? Like, who died and made you king,
Yeah, man, like we were here first. I'll handle this. Hey, look over there. Isn't that Paula Abdul next to the Mr. Cookie booth?
Paula Abdul?
Awesome.
Oh, wow, let's go check out Paula Abdul.
That was a close one.
Nah, not really. You just have to know how to speak their language.
Excuse me, Earthling.
Jeez, don't do that. You scared the hell out of me.
Sorry.
Well, we got your child back.
Thank you very much. We have had an enjoyable day. However, now we must rest.
Rest? Oh, sure, okay. I can suggest a couple of good motels.
That will not be necessary. We have found rooms here at the mall.
At the mall? There aren't any motel rooms at the mall.
We do not wish to motel. We wish to rest. And there is a large room clearly labeled rest at the other end of the mall.
Rest?
I think he means the rest room.
Affirmative. Thank you for your assistance, Earthman. We should keep in touch. Maybe do lunch, take a meeting. Love you, babe. And I mean that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, as we say on our planet, shalom.
Shalom?
I see you say that on your planet also.
No. Well, yeah, yes. Hey, look, you can't go in the restroom, really.
Forget it. You're just wasting your time.
They can't stay overnight in the restroom.
I wonder which one they'll pick. Answers that question. Well, that's all the time we've got for a half-hour radio show. We'd like to thank all the people that helped make our show. Sue Zizza, Pat Rusgus, Rich Rattabelli, Doug Oken, Ken Fada, Bob Alfano, Lori, that girl that said ooh, my partner Jeff Krause, I'm Tom Curley, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you next time.
Do you remember where we parked?
No.
Me neither. I think that was a day.
You have just listened to a half-hour radio show, along with Mercury Theater's War of the Worlds and Dracula. And the first thing you heard was Chet Chetters' Tales from the Morgue entitled The Highway of Death. I hope you enjoyed listening to these episodes. Airchecks is a 3-hour podcast uploaded every Saturday. See you on the same time and same channel.